the Landscape Contractors Association of California, CLCA, coordinated a series of workshops on the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance that is in effect in the state of California, with the objective of reducing water consumption for the purposes of maintaining landscapes. And it's a great idea, and it started earlier this year, to invite not only contractors who do maintenance work, but city professionals who are involved in the planning department and oversee the submittals that are required by the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. They review them and approve them, and also city folks and water agency folks. So the whole purpose is to spend about 5.5 hours reviewing the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance, but in a very unique way. We actually do the end of learning all about it. We then actually have everyone calculate water budgets, which are so critical and so key to the whole program. So it's really a great opportunity, and I was asked to do training on the actual irrigation aspect of the Model Water Efficiency Landscape Ordinance. And so that's what I'm doing up here.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, today we got a great guest, and just for anybody who wants to call in, the numbers are 888-909-1050, or if you're local to the station out here in San Bernardino, Redlands area, it's 909-792-5222. And we're live and in color, so anybody watching us on the web can see us, and we'll give a little wave out to there. Mikey can't wave, but he can say hi, and he has. We got a great guest today, and very interesting, because I'm a techie guy, as Mike knows, and I like science. And we have a gentleman named Mr. Neil Bracken, who's president of a company called Weather Modification. They're out of North Dakota, and they do cloud seeding, among other things that they own. And I'd like to bring him aboard and pick his brain. And I know he doesn't. Their company doesn't go around with a little stick where they don't sing and try to make the clouds rain. They do a technical thing to make it rain. So and other things which I read about. So, Mr. Bracken, welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for allowing me to be on here and joining you this afternoon.
Absolutely. I'm excited about having you on because I read a bunch of things about your company and what you do, and I like science stuff, and it's just real interesting to me, and I think a lot of people don't really understand about it. And I thought it was a great topic to have somebody on who's an expert, and your company is actually one of the most noted ones around, at least the USA. But I also noticed that you do stuff all over the world, not just here and locally, meaning in the U.S. You've been to Antigua, Australia, Argentina, Canada, Greece, India, Indonesia, Jordan, Morocco, Saudi Arabia. So your guys go like all over the place.
Yeah, no, that's right. To start, we appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about what cloud seeding is, and that helps dispel what cloud seeding is not.
Absolutely.
And our company has been around and is one of the oldest and most established and accomplished cloud seeding companies in the world, and we've been in continuous operation since 1961.
And just so that people know, this isn't like crop dusting where you get a jockey pilot and you put gas in and you fly it around and dump this stuff. I mean, you've got meteorologists, you've got science. I mean, can you tell us a little about weather modification and what you have and the technical portion of what comprises your company?
Yeah, well, weather modification was started in the 1960s by some farmers who came out of the military, where they've been exposed to cloud seeding, and cloud seeding is not a new technology. It's been around since the late 40s, and they looked at the technology and said, "Hey, I think we could apply this to our livelihood in western North Dakota." And they started this, which is how we deploy it today with aircraft, aviation and aerial-based cloud seeding. And what we do today, and what we grew out of that origin is we deploy full turnkey, full service, well-designed and fully executable cloud seeding programs domestically here in the U.S. And as you mentioned, there are a few of our locations around the world. And what we do is we deploy staff, aircraft, radars, other support equipment. We provide modeling, meteorologists, forecasting, all the full services to execute a high-quality cloud seeding program. And what's good for the audience to know is there is an accreditation and a standard for these cloud seeding programs, which is designed and established by the American Society of Civil Engineers. And certainly WMI, with our long history, has been actively involved with that group in learning and applying what we learned in the field to continually raising that standard in executing efficient and effective cloud seeding programs.
Oh. Now, you also retrofit planes for other people, or just for yourself? And what kind of planes do you use? I mean, do you use a jet? I saw a video on YouTube about one of your pilots overseas who was rising up through the thing. I mean, it's not as simple as everybody thinks it is, just flying a plane through a cloud. So how does that all work? And
yeah, you mentioned on the modification of airplanes. So our preferred platform is the King Air, a series of aircraft, turboprop aircraft. So C-90, a Beechcraft King Air 200 or 350, and we choose those airplanes because of their performance, their capability. They're supported very well by Textron and Beechcraft Corporation worldwide, so we can effectively deploy those aircraft around the world and know that they'll be supported from a maintenance perspective, and we're able to source anything we need to keep them fully operational. And with that, the aftermarket term for a FAA endorsed installation is called an STC, or Supplemental Type Certificate. We hold the only supplemental type certificate for complete weather modification and cloud seeding installation on these aircraft that allows for full installation, powered and flight operations, full flight envelope operations with our cloud seeding equipment. So we install and retrofit these aircraft. As you mentioned, it's not about just, as I'll say, some companies and some operators fly around and disperse materials, and that's not what we do. We study the climatology. We understand the weather patterns very well in a particular target area, and our meteorologists and forecasters and modelers develop the program and the program design. Then we have field meteorologists who work with the pilots to designate the seeding criteria. When they're met, then the aircraft are dispatched and launched to this target area. And then the pilots have been trained, so they're not just wandering aimlessly through the sky. They know what to look for and the conditions that are right for effective cloud seeding.
So what are the go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I just want to kind of reel it back for a second. And when the company first started in North Dakota, was it primarily to be able to get rain to occur because there was because the average rainfall or the rainfall for the season was way below average? I mean, was the main purpose to try to create a rain event at the most opportune time, given all these different factors that you mentioned, that the program design comes up with, and the forecasters and the meteorologists and those folks? So I guess, was it the basic essence of the group of farmers that came back, from their military experience and said, hey, we want to get a little more reliable irrigation from the sky?
Or is there other purposes for cloud seeding that we don't know about?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and the main purposes and results of effective cloud seeding are for fog mitigation. That's probably the least common, and then the most common ways are precipitation enhancement, which can be in the form of snow or rain, and the third area is for hail mitigation. So the original intent of the starters of Weather Modification Inc. was primarily around hail mitigation, and they worked with the state of North Dakota on a project that still operates today. So it's the longest continuous operating cloud seeding program in the world, run by the state of North Dakota. That's the North Dakota Cloud Modification Project. And the primary objective there is hail mitigation. And I should talk a little about the basic concept there for this type of cloud seeding is around summertime convective thunderstorms. So here in the northern Great Plains, we have significant summertime thunderstorms that often produce hail. And in western North Dakota, it's a quite hail-prone area, and that hail damages crops. So what you do with cloud seeding, and what you have is hailstones form when small condensation nuclei, or small dust particles, run into supercool liquid water. And I'll use the term supercool liquid water, and what that means is water in the atmosphere that is in a liquid form, but it's colder than 0 degrees C. It's colder than the freezing point, but it's not solid, because what the water needs is something solid for it to attach to start the crystalline structure in the ice phase of water. So water will stay when its purest form will stay in a liquid state up to and colder than even minus 20, minus 25 degrees centigrade, until it has that nucleus to start the crystalline structure and then instantly freeze. So that's what you hear about when aircraft are icing up or hit icing conditions. What they're doing is flying through super cool liquid water, and it hits the airframe and freezes to the airframe. So that's really what we're targeting in summertime convective hail suppression cloud seeding. You have hailstones, and these hailstones travel up and down in a thunderstorm. And as they're cycling up and down the thunderstorm, they get larger and larger as they accrue more and more supercool liquid water. And what we're doing is adding additional condensation nuclei. So think of a given parcel of volume of air that has a given amount of supercool liquid water. And if you have, for simplicity's sake, 10 hailstones forming in there, and they're bumping into all this liquid water and growing, what we do is add more nucleation, more nucleants, and we call them condensation nuclei, into that same volume of air. And instead of 10 stones, now you have 500 or 1,000 stones, and they're much smaller. And many of those stones, once they fall, will be smaller, causing less damage, or they even turn into precipitation because they melt between cloud base and reaching the ground.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I would just, that is a very intriguing technology, and one that I had never heard before. I don't know, Rob, if you've heard of that, but that's so clever.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what determines if a specific area is a good candidate for cloud seeding? I mean, does it involve the necessity of certain cloud formations, temperature? I mean, I would think there's some factors that that you have to determine before you say, yes, we'll do the job, or yes, we can do it, but we need these conditions, or how does that work?
Yeah, it falls into what is the desired result of a cloud seeding. As I mentioned, is it hail mitigation, as I was talking about there, or is it precipitation increase in the form of snow or rain? So here where I was talking about in the northern Great Plains, and there's cloud seeding programs that have been or are currently active in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and we have a 22-year running program up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, that's actually sponsored by property casualty insurance companies. So their motivation is obviously to have less hail damage at the surface. And so these hail-prone areas, the basic, and again, what's naturally occurring is you have an abundance of supercool liquid water and a deficit of condensation nuclei, or these small dust particles. And so we know if there's a significant hail and there's thunderstorms, which is, you take the Rocky Mountains and look from Canada all the way down into to Mexico, and on the eastern side of that, wherever you have a significant amount of hail, there's an abundance of supercool liquid water that if you introduce condensation nuclei in the right place and the right time, and that's what we do as a company is find those locations that you can reduce the hail impact on the ground.
So, as I said earlier, I know you guys do stuff all over the world. I know you did a project called the Cloud Aerosol Interaction and Precipitation Experiment. So, say that was done overseas, and I don't know if that was or not, but you have several that you've done overseas. Do you use the same aircraft to fly over there to do it, or do you have to do something different when you're doing these experiments for these governments or cities or these other agencies? How does that work?
Well, yeah, generally we do. We try to, again, use the same platform, same aircraft, Beechcraft King Air aircraft, because it helps us with training and continuity and overall cost. And again, those aircraft are globally supported, and they perform very well. So, for example, we do a lot of operational cloud seeding. I mentioned some of that here in the Dakotas and Canada. What you were referring to there was the acronym Kcaa, and that was done in India. And in India, the operational program was actually research. And what our STCs that I referred to earlier allow us to do is not only install cloud seeding equipment, but we can also install a lot of measuring devices. So aerosol measurements, cloud physics instruments that attached to pylons on the aircraft, and what those are used for is to essentially take a core sample in the atmosphere. So think about an airplane that's kind of doing circle racetrack patterns at various altitudes, climbing in the sky and then descending, measuring the different size, concentration of the particles as you're flying through, and then correlating that to the temperature levels and the three-dimensional winds, so they can get a good core sample what the atmosphere is, and that allows researchers for an ample number of different purposes to study anything from can cloud seeding be effective to what are the natural aerosols that might be enhancing rain that could be supplemented with other additional cloud seeding. It allows study of pollution and pollution origin, pollution monitoring, tracing black carbon, just a myriad of possibilities with the measurements that we can take.
Is it?
Rob, can I ask?
No, go ahead.
From a marketing perspective, I'm thinking to myself, how does a company like yours, with your company's skill set and services, get connected with an insurance company? Is that something that your company goes out to try to think of applications that might be of value to potential customers, or did they seek out your company because you have a reputation within this weather modification community that made them reach out to you? Do you have any history about that?
Yeah, certainly. And it's happened in different ways. In regards to the insurance program and the insurance sponsor program in Canada, that was them seeking a solution and us jointly understanding a potential solution here, and then working together on designing of a pilot project. And they established a 3-year pilot project to study and see if this was effective or not, and they used third-party validation of this, collaborating with some research and academic institutions to study the work, and they decided very conclusively that this was effective. And then they are able to say, well, what does a kind of build out of this program cost? And then they can make a good business decision on the cost benefit to deploying this program. And they've obviously made the decision that it's well worth the investment. As we've again mentioned, we're 22 years in running on that program up there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is that something where there has to be any type of permitting or licensing from the country, maybe from one of their agencies, or is that something because you did coordinate it with the different institutions that just marched along as a test and it was?
Yeah, each state and then each country is different. And we work with the local authorities, and in Canada, we work with Environment Canada to assure the permitting, and we assure what the equipment that we're using, and then the materials that we're using for the actual cloud seeding. And those are reviewed, and there is permitting required up there, and we go through the process and full disclosure on what we're doing and how we're doing it, so that we can have the appropriate permits to execute those programs. In the United States, essentially almost every state, if you look in it, does have a policy or a permitting process for cloud seeding. Now, a lot of them are very similar, but there is a state-by-state permitting process here in the U.S.
Is that because you use some specialized chemical agents that initiate the precipitation process, and I would assume then you fly directly through the clouds to do this stuff?
Well, again, it depends on the type of cloud seeding. Again, for hail mitigation, or if we're looking for precipitation or snow increase, our most common types of active components are, one, salt. So just common table salt that is used in the pyrotechnic flares, and we're of course not using the size of crystals you'll see, on table salt. We're trying to get those to be very, very small so that they're the appropriate size to create and enhance the coalescing and growing of cloud droplets. And then the other cold cloud material that we use is the active component silver iodide. And silver iodide is used because it very much emulates the crystalline structure of ice, and therefore when it's burned in a chemical compound that we manufacture ourselves, and that's been tested numerous times in cloud chambers by third-party institutions, and there's even an EPA statement out on silver iodide and its environmental safety and use, that it's dispersed in the small materials, the small condensation nuclei that result from these pyrotechnic flares with silver iodide, greatly enhance the growth of ice nucleants and therefore precipitation.
So once you disseminate the iodide or any of the materials, how long does it take before the commencement of precipitation or whatever you were trying to achieve happen? Is it immediate, or does it take a while?
So in the summertime thunderstorm hail mitigation cloud seeding, we do two types of seeding using the same material. So we're using silver iodide because we're targeting super cool liquid water, and so it's colder than zero, so we're using silver iodide. And we will do base seeding. So think of a thunderstorm when you see the dark clouds and what's known as a shelf cloud. That's where you see a significant amount of updraft into the growing part of a storm. So we will fly along the front edge of this inflow, this updraft into the storm, and we'll burn these flares, and the storm will naturally intake. Just like it's taking natural salt and dust from the ground, it'll take our condensation nuclei of silver iodide up into the cloud, which will target the supercooled liquid water. And then we'll have another aircraft that's up at a higher altitude. And they're looking for temperature levels, not altitude. So we're looking to be between -5 and -10. And at that altitude, we can find the most effective supercooled liquid water. We won't fly through the heart of a thunderstorm. That's crazy. And we don't do that sort of operations. What we do is fly in new growth and what we term as feeder cells to a summertime thunderstorm. And you'll penetrate that, and you'll hit a solid updraft. And it can be a bumpy ride for the guys, and you'll hit this liquid water, and again, it's freezing to the surface of the airplane, and then we'll drop what we call ejectable flares, and they look like about the size of a shotgun shell, and we disperse those out of the belly or the underside of the airplane, and they will burn as they fall out, and of course they're caught in the updraft. And so as they're burning, they're releasing condensation nuclei into this large pool of supercooled liquid water, and we're starting the ice phase, and that starts the precipitation and range phase earlier in the storm in the cell, and that in turn mitigates the abundance of liquid water that would later create large damaging hail. So back to the time, when you're base seeding, you're looking at 15 to 20 minutes before that material is actually at the altitude and being effective and then subsequently having an effect on a particular cell or storm, whereas the higher altitude ejectable cloud seeding is essentially instant because you're in the liquid water. You are right where you need to be, and when you fire those flares, they're working instantly.
How long does the effect stay going? For example, you obviously, I shouldn't say obviously because I don't know, but you go over cloud or clouds, you do your thing. How much precipitation does it create? And does it last, is it minutes, hours, days, and does it affect anything surrounding that area?
Yeah, that's a very common question. Again, I'll differentiate between two types of seeding. So I've been talking about summertime convective thunderstorm seeding, and so when we start actively seeding a particular storm or cell, we're looking at 20 to 25 minutes before we're taking an effect. Again, cloud top seeding, those are essentially instant. And so the same thing when we stop seeding, those effects and the materials are going to stay active and circulating within the storm for another 20 to 25 minutes once we're completed with our seeding. Now, if you look at a different type of cloud seeding, which is wintertime, snowpack increase, cloud seeding, and it's just what it sounds like. We're looking to increase snowfall in a particular target area region. What we're doing is the same thing. We're looking for this super cool liquid water, and typically this type of seeding is in the western United States. It's going on there in California right now, and Idaho, and Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, several places out the western United States. You'll get more stratiform clouds, so not a lot of vertical development, but it's west to east flow, and as this moist air goes over the mountains, it's pushed upward and it cools, and you have these pockets of water that becomes super cool, and so we'll fly directly through that. And just like with the seeding I was talking about for convective storms, we're actually now inside the super cool liquid water. You're getting ice on the airplane, and you're burning the flares, and you'll see instant results. And we have some great data that's going to be coming out in the early part of this next year on some studies that were done with the University of Wyoming and NCARS, the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, where they have some wonderful imaging of the direct effects of operational cloud seeding, where you can literally see the trails of the airplane going through the supercool liquid water, and you have a snow shower right behind.
Wow.
Very effective.
Now, we've talked about precipitation increase. We've talked about hail mitigation, which I thought was the most unique to a layperson. Is there any other category of major service that your company provides?
The only other area that is actively is fog mitigation. And cloud seeding can be effective. It's the same concept, the same idea we're speaking of here with cold fog. So fog that is going to be 0 degrees or colder. And you see an active program up in Medford, Oregon, the airport up there, where they use actually balloons dropping dry ice. And they're doing the same thing. They're creating, and with the dry ice is sublimates, and it creates colder temperatures and ice crystals instantly as it's sublimating, and you can get clearing of cold fog around airports. And there's a number of other airports that have done this or actively do this, Salt Lake City and Reno and others that in different parts of the world that do cold cloud fog mitigation.
Now, I know that your company uses some sophisticated instrumentation. Does your company typically manufacture these different instruments, kind of customize them to the particular service that you're offering to a customer, or do you does your company aggregate different pieces of equipment, put them together for a particular purpose?
Yeah, so typically for operational cloud seeding, in the core of our installation, our STCs, is cloud seeding equipment that we manufacture and that we've certified through the FAA certification process to be fully functional and operational on aircraft. So all of our cloud seeding equipment we manufacture and install and maintain and warranty ourselves. Now, when it gets into many of the other instrumentation, again, it's almost limitless on the number of instruments that can be installed under our STC, as I mentioned, for cloud physics and pollution monitoring. Those instruments are very technical and detailed, and those we contract out with some close providers who sell us the solid-state instruments that are installed. And the strength and what we do as a company is we integrate those instruments into a data package and an operational aircraft that a given institution can use.
I've just got one other question, Rob, if I can. What kind of talent do you typically look for in hiring? I mean, is it strictly particular type of engineering or chemistry, or what? Could you describe kind of the academic background of your typical employee, if there is a typical employee at your company?
Yeah, well, like every employer, we're looking for good people that are motivated, bring a great attitude to the job. But technically, on the technical side, we have very skilled pilots, and these are guys and gals that want to do more than just fly A to B. They want to have a purpose to what they're doing and flying, and they like seeing the results of the work that they're doing out there, and they like to do something unique. Then on the meteorology and technical side, again, meteorologists, there's a lot of different jobs out there in meteorology, and ours is a very unique one where a meteorologist has the opportunity to work in the office and do data processing. They can work in high-resolution modeling, WRF modeling, which is where you get a lot of your TV station, radio station forecasts from WRF models from National Weather Service, and et cetera. So we do specifically design cloud seeding WRF modeling that our talented group has designed ourselves. And then we do field work with Doppler weather radars, and in the field, the meteorologist is really the project coordinator. They're sort of the heart and the quarterback of the team out there. They're the ones that are taking the daily forecast and communicating that to the operational team, which is generally the pilots and then aircraft mechanics or technicians that are there, giving them a 24-hour, 48 and 72-hour outlook over the potential for cloud seeding opportunities. And then when it's time, they coordinate and schedule the launch of the aircraft so that they can be in the right place at the right time. And then our skilled pilots who have been trained and have experience, they take over from there and put themselves in the right position to be effective. So each of our skill sets, you need that technical background, and then we offer the opportunity to do something unique. And most of we have a lot of long-term staff, and we're fortunate in that in the leadership roles of meteorology and in our technical services and in our chief pilot and director of maintenance. I mean, I think we have well over 20 years of experience in each of those roles. So fortunate to have a lot of really good, dedicated people.
Hey, silly question, but can you immediately drink the water generated by cloud seeding?
Yeah, absolutely. The studies, again, on cloud seeding and the use of, when it comes to use of salt, that's pretty straightforward, but there's always questions in silver iodide. And, is silver harmful and is iodide harmful? Well, what we have is silver iodide, and we have an inert substance. And probably the most extensive work I've done with this is during a 9-year program that's still ongoing in Wyoming. Was involved with a couple of universities and environmental groups, and they studied the target area, and they took snow samples, they did stream samples, fish tissue, downstream samples of the snow and the water and everything to measure traces and find silver iodide in the target area from cloud seeding. What they found is they actually aren't finding any more than is found naturally And when they overall look at a cloud seeding program such as in Wyoming, where you're increasing the snowfall in this target area, therefore increasing fresh water, that these cloud seeding programs are environmentally friendly and environmentally positive. So short answer is yes. And I've actually seen people take spoonfuls of silver iodide and demonstrate that. So it's very safe.
Do you
I just want to ask, have you done any projects in the state of California?
Yes, we're out there right now. There's operational programs, and there's been cloud seeding in California for more than 40 years. Now,
wow.
We would love to see, and not all cloud seeding programs are the same. We'd love to see the standards raised a bit in California. Big reason why I like to do programs like this is a good story and needs to get out there, and there needs to be more discussion over effective, well-run, quality cloud seeding programs, because that is a big part of the water management solution for the state of California. And the water districts out there that are involved, they are active and they're trying, and they want to do more, and they want to expand what they're doing and invest in what they're doing, but they're a little bit limited. And there needs to be more public and private investment and interest in effective, well-run cloud seeding programs.
Oh. Well, I sure learned a lot more today.
Yeah, maybe there's even an opportunity in the future to specifically interview you and have a discussion about the water management aspects of cloud seeding and how it's being used in California, because that certainly would be a very hot topic for our California listeners. So we'll have to put that on our list.
Absolutely, and it's not just California; it's other places. Neil, we thank you very much. I'm excited to listen to you, and I want to learn more about what you guys. So I'll keep reading up on you. And as Mike said, maybe we can call you back one day and in the near future and talk about this in general, and talk to some major water agency. Talk about the seeding cost effectiveness in relation to the overall results, and get into the things where the municipalities and the water agencies may have questions in. But this is an exciting field, and I never realized how much, I didn't want to think it's some crop dusting kind of operation, like you can see on the movies.
Not that we have anything against crop dusters.
No, not at all. But it's a whole technical science, and that's,
Sure.
for me, that interests me. So, Neil, we appreciate you coming on the Water Zone.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity again, and we do feel we have a great story and an evolving story, and I'd love to come back to speak with maybe other water stakeholders, whether it's government or public or private, that we could participate in. Again, we'd love to get the word out there and find solutions, because I think we are part of the solution.
Yeah, well,
and just to let folks know, they can go to weathermodification.com to access your website. Very informative and very revealing of the various services and programs that you offer.
Yeah, that's great. We appreciate that, and we'd welcome any and all contacts and calls and questions that your listening public may have.
And we can hook you up with some water agencies out here too, so that'll be a good thing to do.
All right. California Irrigation Institute.
There you go.
Be careful, because maybe in the next year we'll ask. You'll be getting an invitation to address a forum of water agencies in California. So we be
happy to be there.
That. All right, super,
all right.
Neil. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you both.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back to the Water Zone with Mike and Rob here on KCAA. And stick around. We'll be talking more water and so what's happening around our state. So we'll be back in a moment.
This is Brooke's yard, and Brooke loves spending time with her kids. What she doesn't love are the ugly bare spots in her lawn. That's why Brooke uses Scott's Easy Seed. Unlike seed alone, with proper care, Easy Seed's all-in-one growing solution grows grass anywhere. The first time, guaranteed. This is a Scott's yard. Pick up Scott's Easy Seed today.
Are you looking for a place to buy your landscape and gardening items? Come visit us at SiteOne Landscape Supply. We offer a large and quality selection of irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living products such as Toro's water-efficient precision nozzles. SiteOne Landscape Supply has over 30 locations right here in Southern California, and we are the largest national wholesale distributor of landscape supplies in the United States. SiteOne's knowledgeable and friendly staff is equipped to help you with all your landscape, irrigation, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're redoing your backyard into a drought-tolerant garden or creating a water-efficient landscape for your client, SiteOne has everything you need, including the latest in water-saving technologies, drought-tolerant plants for your yard, irrigation supplies, fertilizer and weed control products, landscape accessories, hardscape products, outdoor lighting, and much, much more. Visit SiteOne.com to find a store near you or stop by today. SiteOne. We are stronger together.
Well, welcome back to the Water Zone with Mike and Rob. Hope everybody's having a great day. I know I am. I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff. That's what makes this gig pretty interesting, Mike. You know, we get to talk to some interesting people, and one of the most interesting people that we know is the purveyor of Maven's Notebook, Miss Chris Austin. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're doing good. So tell us what's happening in the wonderful world of California. I hear we got melting ice, which could cause more drought?
Oh, well, you know, they did say drought is the new normal. And, you know, the changes at the poles are affecting worldwide wind patterns and where the jet stream goes. And where the jet stream goes, the storms follow. And if the jet stream is not sending them to us, we don't get any. And, you know, in California, we depend on just a handful of strong storms every year, so if we miss a couple, it really can mean quite a dry year. And what they've seen happen now is this ridge of high pressure is getting set up again, like it was a few years ago when we had the really dry year. A really smart grad student guy named Daniel Swain out of Stanford first named this ridge the ridiculously resilient ridge, the RRR, which sort of became a term that sort of riffled through the weathermen all over the place. But it really actually came from Daniel first, and that's the name he coined for this ridge that just gets set up over there to the west of the United States, this big air column, and it just keeps all the storms away. And so right now we're seeing that ridge move back into position. And when it will go, nobody knows. But there is no rain in the foreseeable future that they can say. So,
Chris, do you hear water agency personnel starting to talk about the possibility that we're going to have a significantly below average rainfall year?
Well, we all knew that, you know, drought could come back. And again, it's early in the season, so we shouldn't get too caught up in this. But all the signs are that we're headed for another dry year. And, you know, for those of us in the water biz, we understand that drought, you know, could return and it could become, as they call, the new norm.
Well, Mike and I now know somebody from a cloud seeding company we can recommend.
Well, and cloud, you know, and actually I wrote an article on that. And cloud seeding, actually, it does work. But the problem is there has to be clouds. And if there aren't any clouds, there's nothing to be seeded.
There's got to be some moisture up in that upper atmosphere. That's for sure.
Or we get a giant fan and we blow them over California.
You know,
and right now they're talking, you know, humidity is, you know, like 4%, 6%. I mean, essentially right now there is no water vapor in the air over Southern California.
Well, we should go to Vegas and get them to do an over-under, you know, number for the inches of rain in L.A. You know, is it going to be over or under 15 inches? So we'll see. That's not very optimistic at this point in time. And of course, You think
well,
of the fires.
it isn't. It isn't, but we must keep in mind this is very early in the season.
Yeah.
And things can
well,
change.
At least the reservoirs are still in good shape, other than in terms of a percentage of how full they are relative to historical averages. They all seem to be above their historical averages, except, of course, for Oroville. And it'll be interesting, they lowered that level significantly to make way for possible water from runoff this rainy season. So hopefully that thing will get filled up again.
Yes, and hopefully, the reservoirs are in good shape, and hopefully we get some precipitation and we're not looking at another dry year. But come in the springtime, when it comes time to make decisions on, how much water they're going to let out of the reservoirs, it's going to be very difficult if it's been another dry year to, there's going to be a lot of push and pull. Because people are going to want water, but they're going to want to hold some back because we could have another year. And, we all say the drought is over, but maybe we just got punctuated with a really good wet year. And
maybe we should start saying the drought is never over. If we have a year like last year, that's just simply we're preparing for the next drought. So let's, conserve our resources, our water resources as much as possible. So that's a good point. What, any movement on the Twin Tunnel project, the California water fix?
I haven't heard too much since the Aqua Convention last week. We're all sort of waiting to see for the agencies, to make their move. There's, discussion. I'm sure there's probably discussion behind the scenes over what we can build. And what I heard from Jeff Keitlinger with Metropolitan Water District at the Aqua Conference last week was they were considering building it in phases. So there would be one tunnel and two intakes, and then they'd go back and finish it if they ever got the financing together to finish that. But so far, it's been kind of quiet on the tunnel front as we sort of move into the holidays, and also, the attention focused on the wildfires, quite honestly.
Oh, yeah. It's been devastating. Our hearts go out to those folks that have been affected by that in Ventura and Oxnard areas.
Even L.A., it's been horrific. Just watching the news on those.
Are you anywhere near those fires, Chris?
The Rye Canyon one is a little bit north of us. I was, but so far all the fires are downwind, shall we say, which has been a blessing in that we personally here haven't had to endure the bad air quality. But the fires are just terrible. I'm amazed that the Rye Canyon fire hasn't taken any structures. It kind of looked like it was burning in town, but it turns out it wasn't really. Wow.
Well, have you heard the words La Niña whispered by anyone at the various events that you've attended recently?
I last I heard there was a moderate La Niña that they thought was setting up. So again, what does that mean? It's hard to say. Generally, it does mean drier conditions for us, but all bets can be off in this world where things are changing on at the poles and the currents of the ocean. It all really plays into the weather, and it's going to be interesting to see how things change.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we're going to have. I was just going to say, Mike, we have somebody from Westlands Water next week.
Oh, who do you have coming in?
I don't recall the exact name of the person, but we got that set up. We got our ag group help set that up for us, and that'll be an interesting thing. I'll get you that and send it up to you so you can see. And you can call in. That'll be a great show.
Yeah.
So, hey, I hear our buddies from Northern Cal are blasting the DWR over the dam repairs.
Oh, well, they're pretty concerned. You know, they're concerned about these cracks that they found, and the contractors and everybody took a look and said this isn't really anything to be worried about. But the people that live there they're not so sure. They don't want to be evacuated again. And, you know, the people of Oroville sort of have a turbulent history with DWR. When they built that dam up there back in, you know, the 50s, the 60s, the community was really promised that it was going to be this big recreational mecca and there would be all sorts of amenities, and this is really going to bring tourism to the town, and they do quite well. And, you know, they didn't get quite the recreational facilities they were promised. They feel DWR has let them down on, you know, in terms of the agreements that they made when they came in and built the dam. You know, they live in the shadow of the dam and endure the danger while the water all goes south for the rest of us. So there's some turbulent history there. I'm not sure that these cracks are anything to be concerned about. I would tend to go with what the feds and the state are saying. You know, and there's still more work to come on that spillway next year. So I would expect that, you know, I believe that they're planning to do roller compacted concrete up the whole, structural concrete up the whole spillway. And it's only part way structural concrete. They couldn't finish it all this year. So I believe the structural concrete will be strong, and it's supposed to be much stronger than what was there before.
Have you... go ahead, Mike.
No, that's okay.
No. So, talking about Watershed Restoration and Protection Project, I hear the Reclamation and DWR are releasing this Calcim 3.0 model.
Yeah, it's a new model. You know, they with all these reservoirs and water project operations going on around the state, it's quite a management enterprise, shall we say, in terms of trying to get everything to work. And so we use models to sort of estimate and figure out how things are going to work if we do X, what happens to Y, etc. And they have a new model out that's supposed to be better and more accurate. So that model is being sent out for testing, and so that will hopefully help, you know, water managers deal better with water project operations and be able to estimate, you know, what's going to happen with certain actions.
Well, certainly needed.
Oh, it all helps. It's amazing what they're able to do with computer models these days.
Yep.
Well, you know, with computer models, so much is dependent upon what the kind of the unstated assumptions are. But gosh, with the power of computers today and the level of intelligence of the various researchers and graduate students and professors, that there's sure a lot of power, predictive power in the work that they do, and it gives us a lot of information to at least consider alternatives. That's for sure.
Yes, I believe Jay Lund would say that models are always wrong, but they give us insight.
Well, boy, there's a, you know, he's the I like to quote his new environmentalism concepts, and now I've got another one that all models are wrong, but they do serve it to provide insight. That's good.
Yes,
like that.
And you know, some of them are useful for insights, but you know, it's quite amazing, you know, water and how it flows across the landscape and how it flows through channels, and they've just now been able to model backwaters in flood flows, because they could model water going down, but they were just unsure when it starts backing up what that would mean. And so they've actually made some steps in modeling flood flows that will be really useful. It's amazing when you realize how much we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's
well,
true.
Chris, I think we're getting our signal that we have
Yep.
to call it an evening. Thank you so much, as always, for your reports. And, Rob, you have a good night, too.
You too, and fly safe back home, Michael.
Oh, you got it.
All right.
Take care,
Good
Chris.
night, everybody. Your most important thing to do this week, think blue, because...
On Spaceship Earth, we are all crew.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
KCAA Loma Linda
has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that would clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
The holiday season is upon us.
Ho, ho, ho.
And here comes all the little shopping elves. As a small business, it's a joyous time. But wait a minute. Where are all those elves? Why aren't the 4 million elves in the Elfland Empire hearing about your great holiday deals and hightailing their elf toes to your website or store?
It's all about the Prancermans.
Why? You have a shiny store. Why? You have a great website. Stand out among the dozens of your competitors. Do something different this year. Advertise on KCAA. Right now, elves are putting their elf money in your competitors' pockets. Change it up and put their elf jingle in your jingle pocket. Even the most broke elves can afford to get their messages on KCAA. At KCAA, we've got a holiday package for everyone. Don't be left out in the cold. Call a KCAA elf today at 909-793-1065 or log on to kcaaradio.com and advertise.
You can't afford not to.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, call 909-885-8502 or email ceo@kcaaradio.com.
The other stations claim to be local.
Yeah, right.
KCAA Radio, the only true local radio station on your radio dial.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living
with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned in to my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios here in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday and Saturday on my CNBC NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5, and now nationally everywhere where iHeartRadio is. And this is a show about hope and happiness, so there's no gossip, no scandal, even though scandal is shot here, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And if you missed my great show last week, it was a Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa's special series with Clarissa Burt, supermodel and international celebrity. Please go to my YouTube channel and you can get it there. And upcoming, we're going to have lots of fabulous guests next year. Kathy Richardson from Jefferson Starship. Next week, we're having Aaron Dickens, the original Manhattan Transfer. So you just keep it here for more hope and happiness. And as per usual, I'm going to start with my peace in, peace out shout outs for excellent customer service. Devin Smith at the UCLA RASC office and the staff at the Executive Vintage Court Hotel in San Francisco, Brian, Ehub, and Tiffany. Peace in and at the red carpet event that I got to go to last week at the Grove, 10th Annual Salvation Army Kettle Kickoff, thanks to an invite by my wing woman, Diana Kelly, and got another red carpet soundbite from keynote speaker billionaire John Paul DeGiorio, who was actually in the streets and helped by Salvation Army. So he gives back, one of my favorite kinds of people. To sing with, I got to sing with Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They'll be coming next year too on the air. And Mickey Rooney's son, Jeff. So it was a fabulous time. And last but not least, Emmanuel, who will be coming on next year. Just heartwarming story of this young man who came from Australia, who was actually rescued by his adopted mom from the war-torn, just horrific time in Iran. So you'll want to come and see that show next year. Shout out to the Jacobson Love Burrito Clan, friends of Frank, call me Frank Starr, and friend. Shout of peace out, peace in and peace out to my 2930 stage mates at the Agape International Spiritual Center, celebrating our choir bosses and our choir anniversary. To my new and renewed friends I was blessed to meet this weekend in San Francisco, my beautiful niece's birthday. Happy birthday, dear Christina, my favorite niece. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And for my, I went to the new Agape North with TJ, who brought up my big brother, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, to speak, and my past chair and friend Liz, where I got to sing at the party. And my first true Mongolian Uber driver, Ank Bayar, who taught me how to say thank you in Mongolian. Ready? Bayala. Because I'm actually Chinese with a dash of Mongolian. I know you all thought I was Swedish, but it was nice to reconnect with some of my Mongolian roots. And finally, a peace shout out to my LA Uber pool mates in the middle of Chinatown, Crystal and Kit, and she told us that we looked like we were 35. So I love her for that. And a peace shout out to RV at the Vitality Station. I love to try new things, so I actually had the oxygen bar and then a water massage without getting wet. I'll let you figure that one out. And without further ado, I am so happy to have today's guest. It's someone who I watched for years and years and years, loved the show. Monday, Tuesday, happy days. Guess who? It's one of the top three, always on the air, always on the film. There was Fonzie, and there was Ron, and then there was Potsy, and Potsy is here in studio. Anson Williams, he played the beloved character Potsy on the iconic TV series Happy Days. He's a TV director on shows like Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210, author, businessman, an acknowledged expert by the LAPD, California Senate, and Congress on the subject of drowsy driving, and his uncle is Uncle Heimlich Maneuver. It's not really Heimlich
That's
Maneuver,
a new name.
There that is. Please welcome to my studio, Anson Williams.
Hello.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Who has a great radio voice, as you're going to be able to tell in one second.
How can you tell?
Have you done any, or you've been asked to?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh, well,
but,
we're going to have...
Actually, I think that would be fun.
It would be. So,
I like that. I like just being able to converse and,
yeah,
you know,
so we'll have
not
to set
have
you
all
up
the
here.
makeup and all that stuff.
Yeah. Except there is a camera, so you will
Where's
have
my
to have
makeup?
A little, I don't know. Where is your makeup?
Gone.
So what was your favorite part of being Potsy?
Oh my gosh! Well, actually, you know, the show was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an amazing break. But more than anything, Happy Days became a college for us. Gary Marshall really wanted to be a teacher in life, and he used Paramount Studios as his college. And he inspired us to not get in the way of ourselves, keep ego at check, and take advantage of being on that lot and learn everything we could about the entertainment business. So I think the reason so many of us are still productive in the industry behind the camera is because of Gary. He inspired us to take advantage of being there, and we had 10.5 years of it. Wow. So, you know, I've been fortunate in directing, you know, a lot of television, over 300 shows. Wow. But they asked me, did you go to film school? I go, you bet I did. I watched Roman Polanski directing Chinatown on the back lot right next to him. I watched John Schlesinger directing Day of the Locust right next to him. I watched all the Grease musical numbers that were done on the lot right next to the director. That was my college for filmmaking. Wow. And all because of Gary. And he also inspired my entrepreneurial skills. He saw a business side of me. And so the show was great, but honestly,
it was a life learning.
It was a life learning experience. It was like getting a PhD in life through Gary.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Is he still around?
No, he passed away.
He did pass.
Just over a year ago.
Well, he can still hear us. So,
but he lives through all of us,
yeah.
and we pay forward his kindness and his. You know, I try on my sets. I try to mentor young people, try to inspire them to get outside of themselves and to, you know, really take advantage, because most of us won't be actors all of our lives. Right. In fact, Gary said, especially you, Anson.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I was never that good, but I always knew I'd end up behind the camera, and I took full advantage.
You were pretty good.
On that show, I could do that show. I could do that show.
You were like my favorite.
Well, you had taste, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, Fonz. Now, do you still keep in touch with
I do.
the cast?
I do. In fact, we just saw each other not too long ago. They changed. They had the first big fundraiser for the Gary Marshall Theater in Toluca Lake. It used to be called the Falcon Theater, but after his passing, they changed it to the Gary Marshall Theater.
Cool
well deserved. Little museum in there, and it's an equity house, and they're doing fantastic shows. And they had a huge fundraiser, and Henry was there, and Don was there, I was there, Marion was there. Ron was, you know, still in London, England, shooting Han Solo. But yeah, so we're constantly in touch. Donnie lives 20 minutes from me.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that is very cool. That is very. This is honestly, this is the first time I've heard of a healthy part, the healthy part of Hollywood. You know, because you hear a lot of, obviously lately, the unhealthy parts of Hollywood.
Hollywood's an illusion. You know, come on, you know, I mean, Hollywood's made up. There's no Hollywood.
Okay.
I mean, that's a made up mockery. It's made up. It's an illusion. People's heads. It sells product. There is no Hollywood. There are hardworking sound stages. But guess what? Most of my work when I direct, I'm never in Hollywood. Okay. I'm in North Hollywood. I'm in Santa Clarita. They've turned all these warehouses into stages. You know, these shoots are so Hollywood. It just so happens that they're well-known people. Being a well-known person, lots of people look in, lots of advertising dollars for networks, and they're gonna promote, you know, Scandal. They're gonna promote all that. So.
It is.
What was the question?
If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who the great voice here that does sound a little bit familiar, it is Potsy from Happy Days, who is way more than Potsy, and we're going to get to know other sides of him today. But you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa and Anson Williams. So another thing that people don't know, and I didn't know until I got the bio sheet, was you have a relationship to your uncle or your cousin and his Heimlich,
maneuver?
Dr. Heimlich.
Yeah, well, he's actually my second cousin, but ever since I was born, I called him Uncle. And he said, no, call me Uncle Hank. Okay. So I call him Uncle Hank. And we became very close. And actually, Happy Days is very responsible for saving many, many lives. Because just circumstantially, Dr. Heimlich was on the set visiting. And he was just starting to promote the Heimlich maneuver, and he was getting a hard time getting national traction. He got some regional traction, but because of the Red Cross and that conflict, he was having a hard time. Just so happened that on the set, while he was there was a phone call from the Merv Griffin show, and I took it. And I had done the show a few times before. Someone had dropped out, and they asked if I'd be available that night, sing a song, and be interviewed.
Okay.
I thought, this is great.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, I'll do it. So I go to Hank. I say, Hank, look, you know, come with me.
Right.
Maybe I can talk to Merv, and maybe we can get the Heimlich maneuver on.
Right.
He
That
goes,
would be great.
well, let's try it.
Yeah.
So we get down to the Merv Griffin Theater there on Vine Street, I think, right here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I can't find him, can't find him, can't find him, can't find him. I rehearsed the song, can't find him. I'm thinking, well, you know, Hank, you'll watch a great show, but it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I sing. Show starts. I don't think I was first. Whenever I was on, I sing the song, and then you go sit down to get interviewed.
Right.
And there's a commercial, so there's Merv. So I gave him the elevator pitch.
Right.
About and he happened to have heard of it.
Thank
and
goodness.
and he goes, and we come right back up, you know, on air.
Mm-hmm.
Unbeknownst to anybody, including his director, he introduces Henry in the audience, stands him up, brings him on stage, and does the Heimlich maneuver on Merv.
Wow.
You know, it went on a few days later. It was pre-taped. Saved so many lives. 3 weeks later, he was on the Johnny Carson show, and it exploded. But that was because of the Happy Days set.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't believe in accidents. So it was just one of those coincidences.
Yeah.
Cooperating incidents.
Yeah.
With a friendly universe so that everybody could know about something really important.
Yeah.
And it has saved a lot of lives. And speaking of which, you're not falling that far from your Uncle Heimlich maneuvers tree.
Maneuver.
Yes. With your own work and your own invention that is saving many, many lives. So without further ado, I think you can explain it the best. I was shocked to find out that it's actually drowsy driving kills more people than drunk drivers.
And medicated drivers combined. It's right up there with guns, drunk driving, medicated driving. It's up there in the top 5 catastrophic problems in the United States of America. And no one talks about it.
And no one talks about it.
And
Last week was National Drowsy Driving Awareness Week.
Yeah.
So,
well, just to give you an idea of how large this problem is, I think you'll be blown away.
Okay.
In 2012, the National Sleep Foundation did a detailed study. They found at least 168 million drowsy drivers a year. 168, yes, million drowsy drivers a year. And there's more. They found out at least 1 out of 5 admitted to falling asleep. More than 1 out of 5 accidents are caused by it, $12 billion a year.
wow.
More fatalities, more deaths than drunk driving and medicated driving combined. 100,000 hurt people a year, 7,000 deaths. The average age, 18 to 25. Your college kids are not coming home. Families are being torn apart. Husbands aren't coming home. You know, I mean, it is a huge problem. And in fact, New Jersey just made a law. They just made a law as fierce as drunk driving, if they can prove you were drowsy. But, so what happened to me, the reason I got involved is because years ago, I was directing a show called Slap Maxwell with Dabney Coleman, right here in the local Palmdale Desert. It was a hard day. I was dehydrated. It was just, you know, horrendous day of exhaustion. I'm driving home. Next thing I know, I'm bouncing around the desert. I almost killed myself.
Wow.
I fell asleep for 3 seconds. That's all it took. Off the road.
Right.
Scared the hell out of me. I talked to Hank about it, Dr. Heimlich, and he said, by the way, Dr. Heimlich was an expert at sensory connection of body, how the body helps the body.
Yeah.
Way, way brilliant. Alert drops came about from my own experience. I fell asleep at the wheel.
I guess we're watching something. Chris found.
Oh, that's the
that
website.
You? Is that?
That was me.
That was
on
you.
The video, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well,
but what happened was, so I almost. So
you're interrupting yourself.
I'm interrupting myself. So I talked to Dr. Heimlich, and he said, Anson, cut up lemons. He said, and then bite into it hard if you feel yourself getting tired. And he explained how the citric acid with the sour lemon, natural sour lemon, hits the lingual nerve on top of the tongue, middle of the top of the tongue. The automatic reflex reaction of the body is adrenaline. You're up. Nothing in your system.
Right.
Your own body, waken the body.
Right.
As simple as the Heimlich maneuver.
Right.
So I did. I cut up lemons and never had the problem again. Then I went into the product business along with the entertainment business. I love creating problem-solving products, and we've done many, many through the years. I won't get into it, but many, many through the years. A few years ago is when I started finding out all the facts about drowsy driving. And I'm thinking, well, why can't we, if it's
That's
citric acid and
right.
sour lemon and water, maybe a little bit of preservative for, I said, why can't we recreate that in a spray drop and just hit the lingual nerve right on?
Right.
I call up Hank. He said, he says, oh my God. He says, not only will it work better,
yeah.
He said, you will save more lives in the Heimlich maneuver. You absolutely have to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we did. We created alert drops, which is which is basically a hard hit of citric acid, a hard hit of sour lemon, water, a little bit of preservative, and that's it. You spray a couple of sprays on the middle of your tongue, and boom, you're awake, you're alert. You're not going to kill yourself. Nothing in your system. Doesn't screw up your sleep pattern. It's old science, by the way. If you go to alertdrops.com, that's alertdrops.com, you'll read about it, why it works. You'll see MIT did studies on the lingual nerve years ago. This is very old science, just placed in a very convenient way of distributing.
And no side effects that are going to make you feel worse than you started with.
It's a
like
lemon.
The
It's a lemon. It's on adrenaline. Yeah, it's a lemon on adrenaline.
So if I do it now, is it going to do anything to me?
Yeah, just do a couple in the middle
if
of your
I'm pretty
tongue.
awake, like, am I going to change personality?
No, you'll
Like,
just
here's
feel
an
the
experiment.
adrenaline rush right
Okay.
in the middle of your tongue, couple of sprays.
Middle of my tongue.
Yeah.
Ah, I missed.
Okay.
Ah.
Did it come out?
I have a faulty plunger.
Let me see. You're kidding.
No. Oh, the one that you bring.
Oh,
That's
my
okay.
God.
That's okay. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I
I'm sorry.
actually have one right here, and I'm going to put.
No. That won't. Anyway.
I did get it. It's very.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just lemon. It's
Do
concentrated
you know what it is?
lemon.
No, you know what it is?
What?
I screwed up. This one's empty. This was mine in the car, and I had another one that was, and I got it mixed up.
That's okay.
Is that hysterical?
that is hysterical.
So
this
it's
is
empty.
a blooper. It wasn't. It's not a defect.
Anyway, you go like this. A couple, and you're up and you're ready. And we found out
How
that,
long does it last?
Well, everybody's different.
Okay.
Every body is, everyone has a different effect. But we found it with subject groups, it was an average of 30 minutes to an hour. And then if you need some more, do it again. Nothing to harm you. It's natural.
Right.
And you're not going to go home and screw up your sleep pattern.
Well,
that is so embarrassing. I gave you an empty one.
No. Nothing to be embarrassed about. No.
But anyway, so already we've been honored by the United States Congress, by the California State Senate, by the City of LA. The LA Fire Department and the LA Sheriff's Department had a Drowsy Driving Awareness Day on PCH, and we were handing out alert drops at red lights to drivers with information.
Oh, that's a great
I mean, it's a powerful product. It is saving. If you go to alertdrops.com, you'll read testimonials. If you go to amazon.com, where it's sold, you can get in all sorts of different variations, 12-packs, 6-packs, 2-packs, 1. But you'll just read those reviews of how it's helped people.
Right.
Yeah, very, very important. We can stop this catastrophic problem today.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for this time because
Absolutely.
somebody out there's life is safe today.
Well, the Asian Oprah giveaway is going to be the one that's in the car. I'm going to go out and get it, and then I'll be able to give that away on the air.
I'll be sending you. No, Carlin will be sending you many.
Okay, that would be great because it is, and there's, you said it. I love problem-solving products.
Yes.
So for that. Not because you were on Happy Days, even though that was pretty cool, but just for that, because I think that is one of the most important things that humankind can participate in, right?
Can you imagine?
Using our brains and our ingenuity and our creativity to save someone something.
Life.
So you get, wait for it, you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. That's what I wanted to give you.
Thank you. Well, everyone asks, they ask, what's your favorite thing? I actually think everything I've done has led up to this. Honestly, people are alive.
Because of that.
This. I know for a fact.
Yeah. And doesn't that feel fabulous?
It feels, it's paying Dr. Heimlich forward. Talk about his instincts. I talked to him. He passed away last December 17th.
Sorry.
Almost a year ago. Well, he's 96. What a life,
Yeah.
But
he's with my dad.
a couple of weeks before, we, in one of the last parts of the conversation, he said, "You get this out to everybody," and he reiterated, "It will save more lives than the maneuver. You get this out." It's an honor of him. Without his knowledge and brilliance, I wouldn't have known.
Right.
All I did was have a common sense idea. He was the one that was brilliant enough to understand how the body worked and caring enough
So he was an
to
MD.
spread the word. Oh, he was
MD.
He was an MD.
How did he come up with the maneuver?
Some personal people had personal problems with choking to death. But his wife was Jane Heimlich. And Jane was one of Arthur Murray's twin daughters.
Oh.
And Jane was a pioneer in alternative medicine. She wrote the book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Tell You. And she was a big influence on Dr. Heimlich. He was head of the Cincinnati Jewish Hospital. I mean, he was a real, like, Western medicine doctor for years.
Traditional.
I mean, traditional and, huge doctor.
Yeah.
But she's the one that inspired him to look a little further. She's the one that said, not everything has to be with a knife and drugs.
Right.
And that started his research into how the body helps the body. And all that, and the Heimlich maneuver came from that. I mean, he looked for simple, basic ways of solving problems.
That's so good.
And this here, I mean, and you look it up, it's like old science. It's not like he just gave me the knowledge of what's already been researched. He researched it.
Yeah.
There's studies done years ago. And then all I did was find a more convenient way to distribute it. But because
and they're not even they're not expensive. Like anybody can get one.
Oh my God! It's like they're like it's over a month's supply for under $10. I mean, you buy a Starbucks for $5.
That's ridiculous.
And if you buy 12, like sometimes people buy 12 packs for their companies or people, it's $4 a unit. I mean, it's like nothing, and it lasts a month. There's over 80 sprays. So we try to make it where it's really gettable, reasonable, and long lasting.
That's awesome.
And every car. Not only that, construction sites are buying it.
Good.
Because they need to be alert.
Right.
And they need to be safe. We're selling out to hospital staffs because they're up all night.
Right.
And EMTs, doctors. Any job where you need to be alert and safe, and especially entertainment business.
Yeah.
Our hours are crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even I know when I'm driving back to pick up my kid, I live in Orange County, just coming from here, and I'm up for the show.
Right.
And by the time I'm like halfway back, I feel that real drop in adrenaline. And I'm like, if I didn't get a really good night's sleep, I will feel drowsy.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
And I will have to pull over. I've pulled over by the time I get to IKEA and just put my head back because
but even that's not safe.
It's not safe
because you're going to wake up. Do you ever drive and you're driving and all of a sudden you don't remember how you got there?
Yeah.
That's sleeping. No,
that was in my college days too.
Yeah.
But anyways.
There's a name for it. But it's basically you're asleep with your eyes open. You're asleep with your eyes open. I will run to the car and get you some for your trip today.
Yeah.
I promise you. I will run to the car and get you some.
I should be okay.
You
I got a
need
good
to.
night's sleep last night. Although I just flew in from San Francisco.
All I'm saying is if you ever need just a little bit.
Yeah.
Do it.
No. I did get a little that accidentally went that way.
Yeah, I saw it. It's good for the skin too.
and it does definitely have a kick.
Oh yeah.
So
you haven't felt. You'll feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
But it's not a kick. I mean, what you felt is adrenaline.
Natural.
Natural
it's a
adrenaline.
stimulant to
It stimulates
the
the
natural
lingual nerve.
adrenaline.
It's just like going to the doctor when they have the rubber mallet and they test your reflexes. It's the same thing here. It's a reflex reaction.
Is it in 7-Eleven? Because I would think
Not yet.
that would be like totally
It will.
a great
Absolutely will. But
place.
if you know commerce, commerce is its own beast, and you need to bring such awareness and such demand for it before you go in, or they'll kill your product. So you don't. It needs to be placed properly. And you need to have the power of the public with you when you go in. We're getting close.
Okay.
We're getting close.
As seen on TV?
No.
No?
No.
You don't want
As
to
seen
do
on
that?
TV, actually, that's become kind of a dinosaur.
Okay.
What's working for us, I mean, we're on our fourth run. It's products blowing out.
Okay.
Is we do Facebook ads, but we do them. We do all these. If you look, really cute video ads and things that we just place properly.
Yeah.
And we do Amazon ads. And I'll tell you, it beats the heck out of As Seen on TV.
Okay.
And we're just doing tremendous sales.
Yeah, I know someone on there, and I know someone on QVC, so that's why I was asking.
We were on QVC for a decade.
You were
10 years.
Okay.
We probably
cool.
had 30 products on QVC through the years.
Okay.
And that's fine. And QVC is great. It's fun. That ain't the future.
Right.
at all.
It's all
the future. The future's. I mean, that internet is one powerful tool used positively.
It is. It
very,
is, and
very,
it's a good
very
thing.
powerful. Done right. You can waste a lot of time on it, but you can also do some great things on it.
It's important to do, and it's a great stocking stuffer.
You bet it is.
So I think that would be a great way to help promote the awareness around the need, as well as help have your part in saving a life. So how do we find it? Just go to
you go to, if you want all the information and all the science, why it works, how it works, all the research, you go to alertdrops.com.
alertdrops.com.
And then you buy it. Now you can, from there they'll click you to Amazon.
Okay.
Or you can go straight to Amazon, and we have everything from 12 packs, 6 packs, 3 packs, 2 packs, 1 pack. The 12 pack, if you're going to do stocking stuffers, the 12 pack is an amazing deal. It's like less than half price.
Yeah.
And you can give to friends or whatever you want.
I'm going to definitely get some.
I'd say it's probably the most important part of their stuffer.
Especially companies, too, instead of tchotchkes. This is like a meaningful tchotchke.
You bet. You bet.
Right?
Yeah. Well, like they're saying, we're saying, what's the most important thing? Answer. Well, I'd say directing a show is great, and being on a television show is great, but saving a life? Are you kidding? I'd much rather be promoting saving a life
and be remembered
than
for that.
And I don't even want to be remembered for that. I just want the product to be remembered to save lives.
Right.
I really don't care about me.
Yeah.
But I'm the person to put the word out there,
Yeah.
and it's not me.
Have you always
It's
been this
Dr.
humble?
Heimlich. Huh?
Have you always been this humble?
I learned to be.
Yeah.
I learned to be. Trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank God I had the error at a young age. I was able to grow up at a young age. And Gary Marshall had a lot to do with that too. And Ron Howard's amazing. Ron was a big influence. He always had tremendous character, very good. I mean, just humble, hardworking, giving, caring, smart guy, talented, of course.
Yes.
So I had some good mentors, some good, good people, with me. So
That's awesome.
But yeah, and I almost, myself, people don't know, I almost passed away a year ago.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
They found out I had colon cancer, right? But it wasn't. If you're going to get it, they said that's the one to get.
Okay.
Thanks. But
all right.
But I knew. But actually, I needed that. I needed that kick in the butt at the time, just for long term. I'm healthier now. I've been in my life.
Okay.
But I almost got nailed in the hospital.
Wow.
Through some mistakes.
Oh.
And 5-day stay ended up 21.
Oh.
But I'll tell you, that time. You think what do you want to leave behind? And what's it about? Boy, I'll tell you.
Makes you
every
really...
every cliche is real, true.
Yeah.
Every single cliche is true.
Yeah.
But it makes it. It makes you even reevaluate even more. David Cassidy. I was reading his last words. Do you know his last words were? And I actually guest starred with him on A Fantasy Island. He was a great guy.
I actually met him too at a party.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great, nice, sweet man.
A little shorter than I thought he was going to be.
But he was great. His last words were, "So much time wasted."
Oh.
That was his last words.
Oh.
And there's one of the biggest stars in history at his time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go, boy, I said, you got to live. You got to live and you got to give.
Right.
Both.
Right,
live and give to your last breath.
So my life motto is "Don't die wondering." So that's my future part of it, and my past part of it is no regrets.
That's right.
So what are yours? What's your life motto? I mean, we've already basically been talking. Give back.
Oh no, one is there's a great quote. Don't die with the music still in you. And the other one is my life is like hopeful. I mean, it's a cliche. I hope the people I met. I hope I made things a little better by being here. I hope I had a purpose that continues to have a purpose. That's my life motto.
Oh, that's good. Purpose that continues to have a purpose.
You bet.
That's fabulous and perfect to go out on our little side promotion to thank the sponsors who make this show possible. And we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out.
No way! I'm so cool. I'm so hot. I'm so hungry. I'm so full.
Did that complaining sound familiar to you? Hi, I'm Dr. Marissa. your cheerleader for hope and happiness 88% of the time. And they also call me the Asian Oprah. Well, I have a perfect app for you if you want to lose negative weight and stop complaining. Yes, the 21-day Fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa app is now available. Every day you'll get a balanced tip that keeps you from complaining, as well as some sound effects. If you do complain and you press a button, it will give you sound to keep you from complaining. And if you make it the entire day without complaining, you'll get a nice warm experience. And there's a YouTube link also to help you not complain. And then at the end of the 21 days, because it takes 21 days to create a good habit, you'll get an overall score as well as a way to post your triumph with your friends and family on Facebook. So don't complain, have fun, and remember it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Peace in, peace out.
Want to reduce your stress without taking a pill that has side effects? Want to learn how to meditate? Then contact Dr. Marissa Pei, also known as the Asian Oprah, and your cheerleader for more hope and happiness.
Good morning once
Sign up
again.
for Balance on the Beach or in the beauty of Sedona today. Details at www.drmarissa.online and get ready for happiness 88% of the time. That's drmarissa.online. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today's guest, we are truly blessed to have one of the most humble men I've met, and definitely the most humble man in Hollywood that I've ever met. It's Anson Williams, best known as Potsy on Happy Days, but hopefully you will remember him because he has a fabulous product that is saving lives in an area that we don't talk about, drowsy driving that takes more lives, as we heard earlier before the break, on more than medicated driving and drunk driving. So it is time. You can get them from Amazon or alertdrops.com. And I want to have all of you support the work by buying the product and creating the demand so it can be taken to places like 7-Eleven so that more and more people can use it and save lives. So
Yes.
how's that for a commercial?
I thought that was great. I'm just gonna sit here quiet.
No.
You do better than me.
No, but it is really a great product. But okay, so he just told me, could we just everybody feet on the ground, palms up, and take a very deep breath in? We're going to send some comfort and healing and energy to the first responders right now who are taking care of the fires that are out there threatening many, many people. So just take that deep breath in through the nose and releasing in the mouth out of your heart. And I know they felt that. And just knowing that everything's going to be okay. And you actually have a second house in Ojai, which may be in the line of fire.
Don't know yet. But
Don't know yet.
But it's in an outside area, but it seems to be going down that line.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We're just
So
going to
hopefully not.
know that everything
Yeah.
is going to be gone by the time we
Yeah.
are out there.
Yeah.
And now I have to ask,
Huh.
what is it like being a father to four or five? Five girls. I have two.
Mhm.
Okay. You have five. So you were talking about cause and effect.
Yeah.
Earlier.
God's a woman, and God is getting even with me for the 70s. Have fun, kid. We'll get you later. Thank you. Boy, got me good. Five? What are the odds?
Five. What are the odds?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. How many sisters did you have?
One.
Oh, so how many? A lot of women in your mom and dad's families? No. So
No.
it is karma.
Uh-huh.
What did you do in the 70s that you could talk about?
I can't talk about it. No, no. It was, you're a young guy, you're single, you're singing on a television show.
There you go.
And, you're doing concerts and people like you, kind of. So, yeah, well.
Yeah, lots of love.
But I love them. But my oldest, she's really does incredibly well at BuzzFeed.
Oh.
And I don't know if anyone else, she gets stopped in the stores. She's in many areas of BuzzFeed. She helped make Tasty, that's their site, phenomenal. She created Tasty Junior. She created all these other platforms for them, but she also created Wine Mom, which she stars in.
Oh,
she writes, edits, and all that. If you go to BuzzFeed on YouTube, BuzzFeed Hannah Williams, you'll see her last video, over 8 million views. I mean, she's happening. She's really talented.
I should get her on the show.
Yeah, she's really, she's very,
young entrepreneur like her dad.
Yeah, better. She's better.
Oh, that's so
And she's doing just phenomenal. I mean, on camera, off camera, and she created this whole career for herself. She started as almost like an apprentice there. And in a very short amount of time. Very short amount of time, yeah.
That's great. And then your other 4 daughters.
They're at home.
Ages?
19, 16, 15, and 11.
Wow. You are ensconced.
Yeah.
So what's...
And right now I'm the stupidest person on earth.
Are you?
Right? Sure. Yeah. Right. Get him, Dad, you're in the way, Dad. Come on, Dad. She goes, I go, that's my T-shirt. She goes, I know. It was cold. I know. I said I have 10 T-shirts to my name. Why are you taking my stuff?
Do they watch the show, like the reruns?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't really. They don't.
Are they like embarrassed or
no? It's like
just not.
It's not their world.
It's not their world.
No. And I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no special treatment. At all.
Now, I'm gonna pry a little. Did you meet your wife on set, or
no?
How did that
it was
happen?
a blind date.
Really?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was geographically desirable. 1 mile away.
1 mile away, and you knew?
No, took a while.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that in the 70s?
It was not in the 70s. It was after the first. No, there was a marriage mistake before.
Oh, well,
my fault. My fault. No, my fault because I
Okay.
was incredibly, not ready for that. But no, so I learned.
Oh, well, I don't call any.
Well, yeah,
those,
it was
or
an
not mistakes. It was an education.
It was
a chapter in your book of romance.
It was a very expensive education. Yes.
Trust me, we're not going down that one.
Oh no, let me discuss
Yeah,
this.
no.
Doctor.
I'm the host. I'm
doctor.
the host. Yeah, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah.
So
but that's how you learn. You don't learn without challenges.
Yeah.
What did Richard Branson? He said. Why are you so successful? He said, I don't call it failure. I call it challenges. He says, I fell off this mountain 4 times. If I hadn't fallen off 4 times, I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have the knowledge to stay on top. I wouldn't have the humility to stay on top.
There's wisdom right there.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
You got to go through pain to gain. You really do.
Absolutely.
You really
I call
do.
it chiseling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a sculpture is beautiful, but it's got to,
Yeah.
But if it's not chiseled, it's just a lump of right?
And you chisel into priorities of life. Yeah,
absolutely.
You get it.
Yes.
Finally, hopefully you get it sooner than later.
Yes, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully people get it now, today. Because if you get it now, today, you'll have a wonderful life.
Yeah.
You don't want your last breath to say so much time wasted. You don't want your last breath.
I'm so glad.
To say that.
If I died right after the show,
I'd be really sad. I'd be upset. I'd be freaking out.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But if I have no regrets, I really, really have no regrets, and that's how I want to live my life every single day.
Yeah.
That's why I start with gratitudes, and then I read we share an author in common at Ernest Holmes.
Yep.
That's
brilliant, Ernest Holmes.
Brilliant, and just it is a choice. Happiness is a choice.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything's
Feeding
a choice.
my addiction to joy.
Yeah.
And it's all about choosing the better feeling thought.
Well, we talked about that. Every self-help book in the world is 3 words: cause and effect. It's all. It really. How you think, how you
Determines.
talk, how you walk, what you eat, what you don't eat. Everything is cause and effect, good or bad. It's up to you.
Okay, so let's get.
And that's from Thomas Jefferson, by the way.
Is it?
Thomas Jefferson said it in different words. He said, he looked inside for God. He didn't look outside for God. He said it's in us.
Right.
And he basically was saying good and bad is in us. We get the feeling of bad. We get we know good. Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
This was Jefferson
Yeah.
way back.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago. So I'm going to put the moose on the table. We have a little bit of time. So I did get a message from someone who wanted you to comment on, I know, even though I say there's no K words, no Kardashian, we're not talking Kardashian, but we are going to, I introduced the whole Weinstein thing last week. So you being in Hollywood, the non-existent Hollywood, what's your take on all of this?
I don't want to get in, the thing is, I find just as much of this in the product world.
It's not
buyers. It's not just Hollywood. Oh my God!
Right,
you think,
right.
No, Hollywood gets the attention.
Right.
And it might be a little different platform because there's a lot of needy actresses and there's a lot of needy people, like Weinstein. He seems like a very needy, insecure person who has to. Well, just to backtrack, someone gave me the greatest advice ever, and
Gary Marshall.
And it goes back to no, Gary didn't do actually. It was
teasing,
years
I'm
before
sorry.
that, but no. We're in it. We're in it. Like you're in it. You
Right.
want the show to be successful.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You work hard at this, right?
Yes.
You're in it. You're not of it. It's not who you are. You don't need this to be you.
True.
You don't need this. You're not hiding behind it.
No.
The Weinsteins, they're hiding behind it. They have to hide behind something. And that's so it's just getting a lot of visibility, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's just as disgusting in so many other areas. However, what's great about it is it is going to change the fabric. It is going to change, it's especially as a leader. As a leader, if you get vulnerable people, whether it's men, women, whatever, and you take advantage, that is horrendous.
Right.
You're an animal.
Right.
And that's got to stop. So I think what's good about it is just bringing attention to a big problem.
Yeah.
In many, and I think it's going to echo to every area of life.
Right, right.
So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's becoming too much of a soap opera, though. I think the media's...
The pendulum is swinging all the way.
They're not, I mean, Alert Drops is not getting some of the attention it deserves because there's no space because of these horrendous situations. And every day they're finding one. I mean, they got to balance this out. There's other things to talk about. There's other things to promote. Someone died because you're putting another harassment thing in. I mean, we get it. We got it.
Yeah.
It's becoming too much of a money making, topic for advertisers.
Yeah.
And that I don't like.
Yeah.
I like that it's being brought out. I like that it's going to stop. And but I think we get it now. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to keep
I think
beating it.
But I hope that we don't stop at just the superficial end of it, but we look at the whole valuing,
totally
non-valuing.
But that goes, but that also goes into character. Also, the individuals that are abused or whatever harassed, they've got to become stronger too.
Right. It's a system.
They've got to build themselves to say no.
Right.
I mean, come on. If you're going to go to someone's powerful room, you got to. I mean, don't.
Right.
Don't need the part that bad.
Yeah.
Stop being of it.
Yeah.
You don't need it that bad. There's going to be you're going to a room. There's going to be someone's going to close the door and lock it. There's going to don't put yourself. Do not put yourself in that situation. Have enough insight to yourself and self empowerment to stop it before it starts.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination.
Yeah. The cause and effect thing again.
Yeah.
It's a systemic issue
Yeah.
that requires changes and attention and valuing of diversity at all levels.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful place to sort of give you your last question, which is your last question I ask all my guests at the end of every show.
Right.
Who or what are you grateful for? So how did that, you've already been really grateful to Gary Marshall, to, a lot of different people that have helped you.
I'm grateful to the Creator. I'm grateful for giving me this opportunity in life. I'm grateful for the much bigger picture of
beautiful,
of the opportunity to be here with you now. I mean, I want to thank our Creator for every opportunity.
Beautiful. Well said. I call him my UPS man, by the way.
Yeah.
My universal power source. He delivers every morning when I pray and meditate.
It's and just a quick little piece
Yeah,
of information that people, all the living matter on Earth combined with all the living matter in our particular galaxy is less than 4% of the universe, and it's smaller every day because space keeps growing. And by the way, same creator. We're not big enough for a pole, and we can be as close to the all-knowing or far away. It's a feeling, it's a connection, it's a frame of mind. It's
It's energy.
And so don't let the societal merry-go-round dictate who you are, what to do, where to find your happiness. There's a much bigger player out there.
Absolutely.
Connect to it.
Absolutely. That's very well said. Very well said. And now, I always find out after I invite someone on exactly why I invited them, and now I know. That's Anson Williams on my show. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Thank you so much.
You already have your award, and then we're going to go to the car and get the product. But I just have a couple things that I usually end the show with. Welcome to my balance bar. So if you hang out for a minute, then we'll take off after that. But here we go. Welcome to what's going on. Let me find it in the script. Here we go. Free tickets, another Asian Oprah giveaway. Steve Farber's Extreme Leadership Experience to bring in the new year. Steve was my guest celebrating July 4th and the one who interviewed me for the Inc. magazine earlier this year. If you missed that, go on you just go to Inc.com and put in Dr. Marissa, and you'll have it. It's about perfectionism, what I call the dis-ease leads to the dis-ease of life. Well, he's having a celebration event, not just for you to be an optimal leader in your organization, but also releasing his first music CD, proving that it's never too late to balance your work and your passion. Also, special guest Phantom of the Opera, Sandra Joseph, and JJ French of Twisted Sister will be there. And I'll be teaching you some balanced Tai Chi Gong, some moving meditation in the mornings. So it's valued at $450. Be the first person to go to forbalance.org and sign the visitor page today. And you will be joining me January 12th and 13th at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel in San Diego. And if you miss out, please go register anyways. And it's a fabulous event to start off your new year. Go to extremeleadership.com. And today is day 5 on the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. You want to join with me?
Sure.
21 days of not complaining consecutively. If you are able to do that after you register at drmarissa.tv, you get a prize. You get a pack of my motivational cards, 52 card pick-me-ups, stacking the deck for life balance. And we only have 3 winners so far in the last 58 rounds of this fast. So for 57 consecutive months, we've only had 3, and they're all women. So I'm looking for the men to stop complaining and register. And of course, you saw the app in the middle of the show, 99 cents. It was created by teenagers. So support my peace work around the planet by getting that. And Saturday night, another great Agape event celebrating our 31st anniversary of a place that supports individual transformation and Love Central, being a beneficial presence on the planets where I get my positive roots watered. Go to agapelive.com. If you get there a little early, I will be interviewing on the red carpet so that you can be on the same playlist as Quincy Jones, John Travolta, and Halle Berry. And just confirmed speaking, I will be speaking at the Best of You conference and probably doing a little singing there too. That's at the Long Beach Convention Center. It will be in... Let's see. If you just go to Best of You Expo, you'll find the dates, or just go on to my website, forbalance.org. Next week, we have another great music legend. Do you remember the Manhattan Transfer? Well, Erin Dickens will be here in studio. Actually, she's zooming in. She's on the East Coast. But we'll be talking about music, passion, finding your bliss, and it's never too late. So tune in next week for another fabulous, scintillating, do you have anything? We actually just looked at there. I have 2 more minutes. Did you think of something? You know how after the show you go, oh, I forgot to say that, or oh, I should have said that. And I just had a feeling that you might have something that you were going to say.
I'm thinking. I think I'm talked out.
Are you? Okay. Because Chris, do you have a question? Because I'm looking at the clock. I can't believe we actually have time left. Usually I'm talking
Well,
longer
bless
on the
my
thing.
soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Ooh, hey, yeah. Splish, splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night. Rub-a-dub, just relaxing in the tub. Thinking everything was all right. Well, I stepped out the tub, put my feet on the floor, dropped the towel around me, and I opened the door. And then I splish, splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? I was a splishing and a splashing, reeling with the feeling, rolling and a strolling, moving and a grooving. Hey, yeah, play that sax. Bing bang, I saw the whole gang dancing on my living room rug. Flip flop, I was doing the bop. All the teams had the dancing bug. There was a lollipopping with Peggy Sue. Good golly, Miss Molly was even there too. And then a splish splash, forgot about the bath. I went and put my dance shoes on. I was a splishing and a splashing, reeling with the feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and a rolling. Hey, yeah, sax. Yeah, I was a rolling and a strolling. Reeling with the feeling.
Reeling with the feeling.
Splishing and a splashing.
Splishing and a splashing.
Moving and a grooving.
Moving and a grooving.
Splishing and a splashing. Moving and a grooving. Splish, splash. Yeah. Was that 2 minutes?
That was good. That was a great. You probably did that on Merv Griffin. Exclusively here in studio. I'm sure that's going to, we'll get the million views just on that. You want to see Anson Williams sing live in studio? That was it.
Hope it was on pitch.
No, it was great. It was great. And now we are out of time. So please do tune in for another fabulous episode of Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Mercer. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in. And peace out.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been certified we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Bella and Buddy's Groom Shop wants to remind pet owners of the importance of spaying and neutering. Shelters overflow with unwanted pets. Spaying and neutering helps prevent this and has many health benefits too. That message courtesy of Bella and Buddy's Groom Shop at 4240 West Ramsey Street in Banning. For all breed dog and cat grooming with years of experience, call 951-807-8338. For Bella and Buddy's Groom Shop, they're wishing everyone happy holidays.
If you're suffering from aches and pains, it's time to try Arbo Vitae Health and Wellness Dietary Supplement. Arbo Vitae contains pycnogenol, the most powerful, natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant available, which is nature's way to support the immune system. Let Arbo Vitae help your body restore itself today. To order Arbo Vitae online, go to ARBORVITAEUS.com. To order by phone, call 800-570-0433. That number again, 800-570-0433. Arbo Vitae is proud to sponsor Fish Talk Radio. Check out the show on Facebook or visit the Fish Talk website at fishtalkradio.com. The first caller will receive a 30-day supply of Arbo Vitae with no obligation, so call now, 800-5700.
Treat your family and friends to the ultimate artisan treat at Donna's Truffles. They use the finest chocolates to create experiences. Donna's Truffles are handmade Parisian style. Each truffle is preservative-free and created with the utmost attention to detail. Each handcrafted truffle uses only the finest chocolate and freshest ingredients for a chocolate treat near perfection. Donna's Truffle recipes have 25 unique and creamy flavors, including double chocolate, orange, and Bavarian mint. They even have delicious Christmas flavors like eggnog and gingerbread. Contact Donna's Truffles in Riverside today for the perfect gift, 951-682-2091. You can also contact them through their website, donnastruffles.com.
Hi, I'm Donna. I started making truffles 25 years ago. Frankie, my business partner, and I hope you enjoy our truffles.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS? Can't afford to pay? You're not alone. The slow economy has backed many Americans into a financial corner. Here's fantastic news. The Internal Revenue Service is now accepting reduced settlements from taxpayers in trouble. A government program is in place to relieve overburdened taxpayers. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, and if you qualify, you can end all collections, settle your tax issue, and possibly reduce the amount you owe by thousands of dollars. A new taxpayer emergency helpline has been set up by Tax Mediation Services. Call the helpline now at 877-207-2077. See if you qualify to have all collections ended and to have your tax problems resolved for thousands less. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS that you cannot afford to pay, call now to see if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative. 877-207-2077. 877-207-2077. 877-207-2077.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just go to 4ignoremyscore.com right now. That's www.4ignoremyscore.com. Auto financing the easy way. 4ignoremyscore.com. Get started today. Auto financing the easy way.
You've tuned in to KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
The Gospel of Luke and John is brought to you by Sanctum Brewing Company. What's Sanctum, you ask? You should know by now.
Father John Reed.
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants in your room. It's for fun.
Atheist Pastor Luke King.
I don't believe in God. I believe in science.
The Gospel of Luke and John.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. My name is Luke King, your atheist pastor, alongside everyone's favorite Orthodox priest, Father John Reed.
Hey, good night, everybody, and I should say good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, yes. You can also follow us on Facebook at the Gospel of Luke and John, or Instagram at Luke John Gospel. That's Luke John Gospel. Submit your questions there. Our wonderful producer, Tammy, is monitoring all these platforms.
Right over there, off screen. She's monitoring all of the questions that come in and only feeding us the ones that we want to answer. So we haven't answered any since we started, but we will tonight if you submit them. You can also call us, by the way, if you want to join the conversation, 909-792-5222, 909-792-KCAA. I hope you are all safe out there tonight. It is kind of crazy around Southern California.
Yes, with all these wins, but also for all of us getting followed from the Christian tradition, I want to wish all my brothers and sisters a happy Advent. This was the first Sunday of Advent, and you know, this is a special time of the year, and I know you love Christmas as well.
I do.
And this is the
Who doesn't love getting presents?
Exactly. I just don't like getting the bills after the presents. But for many of us of the Christian faith, this is a time of getting ready. And it's a time that we think about what's about to happen at the birthing of the Christ Spirit into the world. But for many of us, and some of us in parts of the Orthodox Church, we look at it at a time that we become ready ourselves to have that new experience within our heart and a new expression of the Christ Spirit as we are born one more time during the Christmas season. So we thought we'd start off with a little bit something light before we got into some heavy news
And
tonight.
not every Christian tradition kind of recognizes or celebrates Advent, do they? I mean, is that more of I know when I was in certain evangelical circles, the Advent wasn't really mentioned. It was just kind of like, hey, Jesus is going to be born in a few weeks. But there wasn't really kind of a reference of, this like, oh, this first Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday, fourth Sunday, and then kind of culminating on Christmas Eve.
That's true. It's more of more your tradition churches, the liturgical faith, I would call it. So your Methodist, your Lutheran, some Baptists do it. And you can usually tell when you walk into a church who does and who doesn't by the candelabra with the 5 candles.
Right. Yeah. There's basically there's 4. There's 1 on each corner and then a big candle in the middle. Which in my Methodist church growing up, they lit that on the Christmas Eve service was when we lit that candle, and that was kind of cool because it was big, and you kind of wanted to see them light the big candle, because they light the small ones the whole time leading up to that.
Well, because the big candle has to come, and he's illumined the world and saved history, according to the Orthodox.
And I, as an atheist, I still love Christmas. I mean, there's I get these questions a lot where people ask, "Oh, how are you an atheist and celebrating Christmas?" Well, I still like to get presents, and sure. I also like to. What I love about Christmas and the Christmas season is that this is a time when a lot of people come together. I mean, this is there's Christmas parties, there's open bars, there's great food, there's all kinds of. This is when the family gets together, and I grew up in Michigan where we have a great family tradition every year of going down to Grandma and Grandpa's house and doing a big gift exchange with 30 or 40 people there, and so I have a lot of great memories of Christmas. And Tammy and I were even talking next year we'll probably go back to visit my family for Christmas, and I want to go to the Christmas Eve service at the Methodist Church, which my parents always go to. And I remember as a kid I got to ring the bell at midnight. We had this big church bell, and I got to ring it, and in any way that I could make a bunch of noise for the entire city was a great thing for me. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we want to go, even though neither of us are believers. We still want to go to the service because there's kind of some fun nostalgia to it.
You don't even look like Quasimodo.
Yeah, well, I do. I hunch over just a little bit whenever I pull the rope.
Well, some of the things I really like about this season is how people are kind to each other. You see them giving a little more charity. They're more aware of the fact that they're not the only one in the world. And one of the things that means a lot to me that we don't see as much anymore, and I'm kind of sad about that, and that's the Salvation Army Santas.
Oh, the bell ringing.
The bell ringing.
Yeah.
And I had a friend, we call him Eddie Tiger because he called everyone Tiger, and Eddie was really messed up physically. He'd had several strokes. He could barely walk. He could see out of one eye. He talked like this, and I'm not making fun of him. He really did. And he was standing in front of Bob's Big Boy in Ontario, ringing his bell for the Salvation Army, and every time someone would put something in that pot, he got so excited. He said, "Oh, thank you, Tiger, thank you." That was Christmas to me because here was a guy who had every reason to be bitter, and he was so excited about doing something for other people. This was his season. And just one last thing why Salvation Army has such a special place in my heart. We're a little different in some of the way we approach some theological things, but they have charity down to a science, and I mean that in a good way. When I was 4 or 5 years old, we had no money. I mean, we really were, when you say dirt poor, that was us. And at that time, I used to get up really early in the morning because I didn't know the value of sleeping in at that point. And it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And someone had told the Salvation Army people that we had nothing for Christmas. So it's like between 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. And I hear somebody on my front porch. This guy was trying so hard to be quiet. It was a guy, he was in a Salvation Army uniform, putting a box of toys. It still touches me. And food.
Wow.
And trying not to get caught. Nothing said Salvation Army on it. He went out to his car, and it was cold. And he very quietly closed his door and drove off. He didn't want credit for this good thing he did. He just wanted this poor family to experience that somebody loves them during this holy time. And that's why it means so much to me.
Yeah, it is a great season of recognizing that we're not the only ones here. And
Yes.
and I think, especially with all the fires going on now and everything that's happening too, it's tragic when things like this happen anytime. It seems like the tragedy is magnified when it's this time of year.
Yes.
Because a lot of religious traditions, no matter what, have certain holidays around this time of year. And then I don't know, it's just something about the season that makes people kind of recognize that they're not alone in the world. And I even remember when we were in youth group at the Methodist church that I grew up in, we would sign up to ring the bell for the Salvation Army at the grocery store. It was kind of an interesting thing.
I have a friend, he calls himself Big E. He's a really big guy, and he showed me a couple years ago what he was doing for Christmas. He made all these care packages for the homeless, for people on Skid Row. And his Christmas gift to his family was he made a care pack for each one of them to go to someone on Skid Row. And he said, you have the choice of either delivering it yourself, or I'll deliver it for you in your name. But the greatest way to experience Christmas is not by what you receive, but what you're able to give. And I'll be honest, I cried when he did it. I thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard.
Yeah, and it's fun. Christmas time is fun, and the season is fun, and it's just a fun season of giving. And to make an incredibly seamless transition tonight, I was like, how am I gonna turn out of that?
I'm turning to the atheist on this one.
If you haven't been watching the news recently, because there are some things going on here in Southern California and a lot of things happening that have drawn our immediate attention. Israel and Jerusalem has been in the news.
Yes,
and it's interesting because when we wanted to start talking about this, when we wanted to bring up this topic for the show, this was pre-Donald Trump recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But when I was reading, going through some news articles, I saw a study that came across the wire, and it's a study from Lifeway Research, and it was sponsored by the Chosen People Ministries and author Joel Rosenberg, who's a New York Times author, about the declining support of Israel among young evangelicals.
Yes, and a lot of them don't know the history. They don't realize the political implications. There's a new theology that started 150 years ago that has to do with this entire topic. But why don't you talk for a moment of what took place this week? That's so important.
Well, and so some interesting things about the study. Right now, three-quarters, about 76% say that Christians should support the right of the Jewish people to live in the sovereign state of Israel. And 20% aren't really sure, and 5% disagree. 69% say the Jewish people have the historic right to the land of Israel, which kind of gets into some interesting history about how the state of Israel was created, and about how it really... The history of Israel all depends on who you're talking to.
Yes.
Because if you talk to someone who is Jewish or someone who is pretty sympathetic to Israel, the narrative is very different than someone who's more sympathetic to the Palestinians and someone who's more sympathetic to the Arab state and the Arab side of the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these people are really doing a weird translation of the Bible to justify what they're trying to do, and trying to do away with the mosque and build the third temple, starting the 7-year war that they believe the Armageddon, that they believe will bring back Jesus.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because of the people that were surveyed, 45% say that the Bible has the biggest influence on their views of Israel and on their views of what the Jewish state is doing. 63% say they support Israel primarily because God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people, according to their reading of the Bible.
According to their reading, very well stated. And it's funny, the way it started going into politics, it actually started with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was the first United States president to come out and say that he was a born-again Christian. And then the right said, well, if he can play that game, we can play it even better. And that's where the moral majority was started. And they started that with Ronald Reagan, and it's picked up a lot of momentum that the two sides were empowering each other. The Republican Party empowering the evangelicals, who really was having trouble getting traction at that particular time in our history in America, and in return, the evangelicals returned power to Republicans.
I think one of the most startling statistics coming out of this study was that 24%, basically 1 in 4 evangelicals surveyed, support the existence, security, and prosperity of Israel no matter what Israel does.
Right.
And that was, I think, one of the most startling things. Now, to be fair, a lot of the younger evangelicals, and 6 in 10, so about 60%, say that Christians should do more to love and care for the Palestinians.
Yes.
So the younger generation does recognize kind of the plight of the Palestinian people and what's going on there. And we're going to... This is a big topic.
Yes.
And it's impossible to tackle it in an hour.
It is, and I think it's important to say, because we're bringing up the word evangelical quite a bit, there's more than one different kind of evangelical. There's the evangelical that is what we call the fundamentalist, the literalist. There's the evangelical that is actually more progressive. There's some of those. I've met some of them and had wonderful conversations. So you have different facets. And we have it in the Catholic Church as well. We have the charismatics that some have gone very literal, and there's been some problems in the Catholic faith with that.
Right, and this is, and you might think this isn't important. You might think, I'm going to tune this out, I'm going to go watch football or whatever. But no, this is an important thing for you to understand, because over 25% of the American adult population is evangelical Christian.
Right.
They vote, they mobilize, they are out there, and they are some of the biggest influencers of Republican political domestic policy and Republican foreign policy, and they kind of operate, I don't want to say in the shadows, because they're really not in the shadows, but they operate without a lot of people realizing what they're doing.
Well, 81% of them voted for Donald Trump. 81% of them showed up to vote for Donald Trump, which is incredible.
So when we come back from our first break, we're going to talk a little bit about who these, in order to discuss a group of people, we have to talk about we have to generalize. So we're going to generalize a little bit, so just prepare yourself for that. But once we come back from our first break, we're going to talk about who these evangelicals are, what they believe about the end times, and why that matters to you and why that matters to U.S. foreign policy. Are you a business owner or entrepreneur? Maybe you manage a nonprofit. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Are you searching for that business breakthrough? Well, we have the answer. Radio. That's right, radio. 93% of Americans listen to radio each week, and Forbes magazine calls radio the captive audience that most businesses overlook. The second most popular radio platform is talk radio, which is what you're listening to right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's develop a plan to take your business to the next level and beyond. Go to lucascking.com and fill out the form. It's really simple. It'll pop right up when you get there. And I'll get back to you within 24 hours to set up a time for us to talk. That's lucascking.com. Lucas C, as in Carl, King.com.
Hello there. Are you tired of handcrafted, award-winning beer in a cozy, family-friendly atmosphere? Of course you're not. You're not a dummy. Sanctum Brewing Company is all these things at once. Nestled in beautiful Pomona, California, Sanctum is independently owned and operated, making delectable poetry by the pint for your enjoyment, bringing you a family-friendly, dog-friendly atmosphere. Enjoy the wonderful views at Sanctum Brewing Company, including warehouses, mountains, and train tracks. Also, we have a pallet wood wall. Yes, we were doing it before it was cool. We're not that hard to find on Google Maps, or Apple Maps, or MapQuest. Yes, it's still a thing. Sanctum Brewing Company, home to the world's largest selection of 2x4 furniture.
My name's Luke King. When I left the church, I had no idea where to turn. I lost my entire worldview. I knew deep down that it was possible to be a secular person and still add value to the lives of others. I just had no idea
how to live that way. I read books, I searched for tips and ideas. I wanted to ask for advice, but I didn't even know who to ask. I became frustrated because it seemed like all the resources available were out to prove religion wrong, and that just wasn't my concern. My concern was, how do I live my best life today? Since I couldn't find the guidance I was searching for, I started the Your Atheist Pastor Show to document my journey. I love people. I still want to do good in this world. The only difference is that now I do it without God. I'd love for you to come on this journey with me. Just hop on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts can be found, and type in Your Atheist Pastor. That's Your Atheist Pastor. Welcome to church.
KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. My name is Luke King, alongside Father John Reed.
Hey.
So, who are these evangelicals? It's a word you hear all the time, and I know a few people who use the word evangelical almost like a swear word, or like a derogatory, like, oh, those evangelical. But they do have, not all bad people. Don't want to all lump into and say they're all bad people. Just some of them are. But that's the same. You know, it's kind of how it is in any setup. But there are some typically. A lot of evangelicals have a few things in common. The first thing is that the Bible is kind of their highest form of what they believe. So the Bible is really given a significant amount of weight, and some people would say it is the kind of their moral authority when they look at the Bible.
Well, that's one of the things that got Roy Moore kicked off the bench, was he put the Bible, his interpretation of the Bible, over the Constitution.
It's also what'll probably get him elected to the Senate.
That's right.
Another important cornerstone of evangelicalism is that it's very important typically for evangelicals to encourage non-Christians to trust Jesus Christ as their Savior.
Right.
So if you've ever seen someone standing on a street corner preaching, hell or heaven, there's a high likelihood that they're going to be evangelical.
Yeah, turn or burn.
Jesus Christ's death on the cross is the only sacrifice that could remove the penalty of your sin, is another kind of cornerstone of evangelicalism. So, put differently, being a good person doesn't get you to heaven.
Right. And, just a little perspective on that. For the more traditional churches, it's the death and resurrection. And in the Orthodox, we never had original sin. That was added later in the 4th century.
Ooh, breaking out original sin.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. But it's also this idea that they are very exclusive about their belief system. So if you are not and this is not all of them, they will typically say that Catholics are going to go to heaven and Orthodox are going to go to heaven and other denominations are going to go to heaven. However, they do typically see those denominations as substandard.
Right.
They're very good typically at saying that their evangelical interpretation of the Bible, which is different than the other evangelical church down the street,
right,
is the better and the right one.
Well, they figure if heaven is like a big hotel, we Orthodox will go, but we're going to have the room down by the ice machine.
Right, and so only those who trust in Jesus and in Christ alone will receive God's free gift of eternal salvation, but in order to get that free gift, you have to devote your life to service.
Yes.
And then they also, typically, evangelicals are usually the people who are out protesting and protesting abortion and oftentimes protesting same-sex marriages. They're kind of, not always, but sometimes.
But you don't see them out protesting the war.
No.
And Jesus was about nonviolence. So you would think that people who are claiming to follow the teachings of Christ Jesus, because Christ is not his last name, would be out protesting the war, saying no. But they're actually for war because they think that's going to bring about the second coming of Jesus.
Exactly. So there's this great documentary called Waiting for Armageddon. Now, if you are an evangelical, you will probably champion this. If you're an evangelical, you've probably turned this off by now. But if you are not an evangelical, if you're not an evangelical and you really want to get fired up some night, you should hop on YouTube and watch Waiting for Armageddon. But why should we sit here and tell you what evangelicals believe when we can just let them tell you themselves. So this first clip is from James Bagg, and he is an engineer living in Vermont, and he'll tell you a little bit about his beliefs.
There are prophetic activities in the Bible that have now come true as history has passed. So given all of that background, there's no reason to think that what the Bible further predicts to be true, which is the second coming, the rapture, and Armageddon, won't also ultimately come true. So God has a contract with Israel. He has chosen that land, and it's incredible to watch history, evolve around that land.
Now, some people think that Christ is going to come back so soon that they're not going to be able to see their grandkids. And so these folks named Steve and Devonna Edwards kind of take that perspective, that they're not even going to, their kids aren't even going to get a driver's license because, well, Jesus is coming back.
The rapture, in my view, will happen very, very, very soon. And do I believe that I will hold a grandchild? No. No. I just don't think we have that much time left.
Things are happening around the world that lead me to believe that the end times are close. I mean, I keep up with things going on, and I have a general idea of what can happen. And the things going on in the Middle East is a good example of that.
Everything has to do with Israel. Israel is kind of God's timepiece, his clock. But I don't believe that Travis will graduate. I do not believe that, John will ever reach an age to drive a car. The girls, I have much comfort in the fact that the rapture is soon. We watch AIDS decimate so much of society, and we look at the poverty that's in the rest of the world, the wars that are going on, and
what a terrible outlook on life.
Yes.
Like, my kids aren't going to get their driver's license. I'm never going to hold my grandkids, because, well, Jesus is coming back.
And I have to tell you, when I hear some of the stuff, it really makes my blood boil.
Yes.
Because this is not standard theology. Rapture is not in the Bible.
Oh, go on.
It is absolutely not there.
We were going to talk about this later, but go on. We'll talk about it now.
Yeah, well, just a little bit, and we'll get back into it a little later. But it just makes me so crazy when I hear them talking about something that's not in the Bible as though it's in the Bible. It's a formula that they made up, and it's only 150 years old in Christianity. So that means for 2,000 years, the church has taught something completely different. And they came up with this really gross interpretation, throwing in stuff. But one of the reasons behind it is the power that they think they're going to draw from it. You know the old expression, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely? And there's a lot of that involved with this, but I'm keeping us from hearing our third clip, and
now,
I'm sorry.
Dr. Robert Dean, who is the pastor of West Houston Bible Church, would completely disagree with you. And here's what he has to say about the end times.
After the rapture, the planet Earth goes through tremendous upheavals and scarring. There will be massive catastrophes. There will be catastrophes on the order of 9/11 happening 2 or 3 times a day. Ecological disasters, Katrina, super hurricanes. Plus there are earthquakes. There's a possibility of meteor hitting the Earth. A third of the waters are polluted, turn to blood. By the time you're 5-6 years into the tribulation period, half of the Earth's population is dead. We think there's violence and wars now. This is going to radically increase. There is this figure that arises called the Antichrist. This figure signs a peace treaty, a covenant with Israel. That marks this last 7-year period of time. So there's a precise countdown, which we refer to as the 7-year tribulation. And all of this culminates in the armies of the world focusing against Israel, against Jerusalem. And they gather together at a place called in the Bible Har Megiddo, the mountain of Megiddo, or Armageddon.
Now, if you want to see what this is actually going to look like, they made a movie about it.
That's right.
They made a movie with Kirk Cameron, I think in 2001 or 2002. I don't really know. You want to look that up? Called Left Behind. And in fact, it was so good that Nicolas Cage remade it about 2 years ago.
Yes, and I happened to walk in on this. Gabby was watching it, and I didn't realize what she was watching at the time. And I watched a few minutes, and suddenly I can't say on the radio what I said there, but I was so upset. And, you know, these people actually have video games of what they call the end times, and your friends are going down the street who are left behind, and they say, by the power of Jesus, and they zap them, and the guy's dead.
There were also volumes of books written called the Left Behind series.
Oh, yes, bad theology.
And if you want to read, if you are more of a reader and less of a movie watcher, because some people don't watch TV, our board op doesn't watch TV. But if you want to read about this instead of watching the YouTube video, there's this interesting book called Forcing God's Hand.
Oh, if you want to have nightmares, read that.
And that's that'll tell you a little bit about it. But here's the thing. I mean, this is kind of fun, and we're kind of joking around about it, making fun of it in a way. But it's critically important to understand that a huge voting population in the United States thinks this is going to happen.
And even more than that, they're pushing U.S. foreign policy. You have a group of these evangelical pastors that meet with the president and are steering him into this direction, and I believe they had everything to do with what was in the news this week.
Absolutely. And the thing that was interesting, and I don't know if you caught it when we were listening to the good Reverend Robert Dean, is that he said that the Antichrist is going to arise and sign a peace treaty with Israel.
Right.
And then armies are going to converge. And then when the armies converge, that's going to start off this rapture and this tribulation.
Well, that would make Trump the Antichrist.
Which would make Donald Trump the Antichrist if he signed the peace treaty with Israel.
Yes.
And the thing here's the thing you need to understand. These people who believe this, they do not want peace in the Middle East.
No, they don't.
They do not want things to resolve themselves peacefully. They want war.
Well, they're even financially supporting Jewish terrorism against the Muslims, trying to force the issue.
There's this pastor named John Hagee, and he
sorry,
his name evokes an and he is the founder of this large church called Cornerstone Church in San Antonio. But he also founded this organization called Christians United for Israel about 10 years ago.
Right.
And it is probably one of the strongest pro-Israel evangelical groups in the country. They lobby Congress.
Yes, they do.
They are out there constantly trying to get our foreign policy pushed in a direction to recognize, then the first step in doing this is recognizing the capital of Israel as Jerusalem.
Yes, and their sister program, I don't know how related they are, but they have the same goal of Christian Friends of Israel. They donated something like $75 million towards an effort to overtake the mosque and build the third temple in Jerusalem.
And interestingly enough, it's white evangelicals, 82% of them, according to Pew Research, think that God gave Israel to the Jewish people.
Right, gave them a contract.
Less than half of that, so less than half of 82%, so theoretically less than 40% of Jewish Americans or Catholics agree with that statement.
Correct. Absolutely.
And even they say things like, God gave the land of Israel to the Jews forever, and God blesses those who bless the Jews, and God curses those who curse the Jews. And we're not at all advocating violence against the Jewish people by talking about this.
Well, absolutely.
It's really important to point that out.
Well,
this has nothing to do with how we treat Jews as humans.
Well, first of all, Jesus is Jewish, and he loved being Jewish. And for us to do anything to someone of the Jewish faith is to do it to we of the Christian faith to our Lord.
And so when we look at these things that are going on, when we look at stuff like this evangelicalism and how this drives foreign policy, it is important to note that the people we're putting in office are the ones who are doing this. I mean, the whole international community is saying this is a bad idea.
Yes.
Yet here's the U.S. proudly saying, nah, we're going to ignore all that. We're just going to go ahead and basically create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We need war in Jerusalem, so let's create war in Jerusalem. Maybe we can bring JC back a little bit quicker.
And maybe we can make our military friends a lot richer, not the ones in the military, but the military complex, industrial complex.
Well, absolutely. And nothing, I was talking to a friend of mine this week who is Muslim, and she mentioned that the Muslim community doesn't agree on much.
Right.
But what they do agree on is the importance of Palestine.
Correct.
The importance of what's going on over there. And it's just important to recognize that this is an issue. If you want to, the purpose is not peace. And there's one final clip I want to play, and I can't remember the guy's name, Gary something, but it's really indicative of how he's a professor, and it's really indicative of how these folks hope that this whole thing plays out.
When I turn on the television and I see what's happening either in Iraq or Israel, I don't look at what's happening with the hope that it will work out, because I see that there are certain things that have to happen for the world to be ready for the return of Christ.
And that's the frustrating part about it, is I look at that and I don't want it to work out. I don't want it to be peaceful. Basically what he's saying is, I want people to die so that Jesus will come back.
And
that's ridiculous.
And that's not what Jesus taught. Jesus taught about brotherly love, that what you do to the least of these, my brethren, you do also to me, that we're to be out there to bring healing. It's really a twisted scripture, and it's sad. It's a spiritual sickness.
It is, and these people like Pat Robertson, who are people that have the president's ear, say things like, "We believe that the emergence of a Jewish state in the land promised by God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was ordained by God. We believe that God has a plan for this nation, which He intends to be a blessing for all the nations of the earth." And they hide behind this idea of Israel being an island of democracy. Right. An island of individual freedom. But then they go on and say mere political rhetoric. This is quoting from Pat Robertson's website. Mere political rhetoric does not account for the profound devotion to Israel that exists in the hearts of tens of millions of evangelical Christians.
Well, this whole group of them, the fact that they fund terrorism to begin with, and particularly Jewish terrorism against the Muslims, goes so far away from what Jesus taught. And it's not just one or two of them. Here's a list. This is a small list of them. You have Jerry Falwell, Hal Lindsey, Pat Robertson, who, by the way, also says, I heard him say that every morning Donald Trump gets a briefing from God.
Oh, my gosh.
In the White House. There's Ken Ball. There's Chuck Smith, who founded Calvary Chapel, who put a lot of money into the terrorism. James Dobson, Paul Crouch of TBN, Ray Burbank of God's News. So this is just a small list of the people who are really on board with this, who are teaching this as a theology and taking people to Jerusalem on tours to teach them how to help create end times.
And this matters. This matters to you. This has a direct impact on your life. When we come back from our next break, we're going to talk about why this matters and how this is impacting you right now, today.
Are you a business owner or entrepreneur? Maybe you manage a nonprofit. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Are you searching for that business breakthrough? Well, we have the answer. Radio. That's right, radio. 93% of Americans listen to radio each week, and Forbes magazine calls radio the captive audience that most businesses overlook. The second most popular radio platform is talk radio, which is what you're listening to right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's develop a plan to take your business to the next level and beyond. Go to lucascking.com and fill out the form. It's really simple. It'll pop right up when you get there. And I'll get back to you within 24 hours to set up a time for us to talk. That's lucascking.com. Lucas C, as in Carl, King.com.
Hello there! Are you tired of handcrafted, award-winning beer in a cozy, family-friendly atmosphere? Of course you're not! You're not a dummy! Sanctum Brewing Company is all these things at once. Nestled in beautiful Pomona, California, Sanctum is independently owned and operated, making delectable poetry by the pint for your enjoyment, bringing you a family-friendly, dog-friendly atmosphere. Enjoy the wonderful views at Sanctum Brewing Company, including warehouses, mountains, and train tracks. Also, we have a pallet wood wall. Yes, we were doing it before it was cool. We're not that hard to find on Google Maps, or Apple Maps, or MapQuest. Yes, it's still a thing. Sanctum Brewing Company. There will be snacks.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky?
KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. My name is Luke King alongside Father John Reed. Hey, we have a website. It's gospeloflukeandjohn.com.
That's right.
You should visit it.
It's well done, and I can't believe the mastery that Luke put into this.
Listen, I put a lot of time into this website, and I've seen the analytics, and y'all aren't going to it, and you should go to it and check it out.
Yeah, please do.
We have video. All of our old shows are up there. All the old video from our shows are up there. I mean, you get to look at our pretty faces if you want to see that. Our promo video that we did for the show is there. You can find out about impact partnerships there, which are really important. We need those to keep us on the air. So, do that.
And while you're surfing the web, find your way over to Amazon.com and get a hold of my book. Close your eyes so you can see me. After this heavy topic tonight, you might be able to enjoy a light read that's kind of uplifting and inspiring.
A little bit of levity.
A little bit of levity.
So, how people view the end times directly correlates to how they live now.
That's absolutely true.
And if you have this idea that the world needs to get worse, what at all incentive do you have to try to make it better?
You have no incentive. In fact, I knew of a guy who was a retired evangelical who the last part of his life was filled with such poverty and hardship because he put no money away because he truly believed that we were in end times, and he wasn't going to be able to retire. He was going to be gone first.
Well, and look at these people like Harold Camping, who continually, he said the world was going to end, I don't know, sometime like October 2011 or something crazy like that. Mm. He nailed it down real specific. People donated millions of dollars to his organization. They sold their stuff. He put up billboards warning people about the end times, and then guess what? They didn't show up.
It was 2012.
Yeah, there's all kinds. Everybody. There's all kinds of crazy. When one crazy person dies that predicts the end of the world, like 3 more spring up.
Well,
it's like whack-a-mole.
And I don't know where they're getting this because Jesus said he didn't even know when this would happen.
Well, that's the funniest thing is that he didn't know, but yet everybody else, like some people, claim to know when he's coming back.
Well, I saw someone adding something from Daniel to Isaiah to Ezra and came out with some weird calculation that says, okay, it says it's going to happen right here. It just doesn't hold water. It's not true. And when it comes to end of times, the more traditional churches believe that it already came and left. It happened in the year Common Era 70 at the crushing, when the Romans crushed the temple. That was the world for our Jewish brothers and sisters. And so it's already happened, and it's come and gone.
But it also has to do with, if you wonder why conservative Christians don't care about climate change, this is why.
That's right.
If you wonder why they don't care about war, this is why.
Why they don't care about a crashing banking system.
Right. Why they don't care about the environment. Because everything that goes wrong even like if you look at the hurricanes, probably even some crackpot out there right now is saying that these wildfires are signs of the times because that means that it's getting worse and that Jesus is coming back. And what it really means is that we had a really wet winter and then a really dry summer and a lot of wind.
Yes.
That's what it means.
And again, this is not
science.
The traditional understanding of Scripture. This is a new theology that's only 150 years old. Listen to that, people. 150 years old compared to a 2,000-year tradition where all the other churches are saying, no, we have a God of life. We have a God of peace. We have a God that wants us to learn to love one another. And the mystics say that the whole purpose of our spirituality is to be able to look at one another and see the face of God.
So what's really interesting about this whole idea of there's a fancy term for all of this end time stuff called dispensational premillennialism. Such a fancy word. That's a million dollar word.
Brought to you by Metamucil.
Also known as dispensationalism. Right. And the funny part about this whole thing is that this was declared heretical in ancient times.
Yes, it was.
This made a reoccurrence in about 1830, and John Darby is kind of credited with its resurrection.
Yes, nice way to put it. Right?
Yes. Just like Jesus.
I'll leave it to my atheist buddy here, to come up with the resurrection.
But the thing is, like, this is not traditional. Like, this is not how people used to think. And it's really interesting to think about if you don't think the end times are going to end, if you don't think tribulation is going to happen. Or here's the other thing. Some people think that Christians are going to be around for the tribulation.
Right.
Like, there are people who think that there's going to be this great war, but the Christians aren't going to get out of it. Like, they're going to have to stay here for it.
Right. And they also think they're going to convert 144,000 Jewish people, and they're going to be okay, and the rest of them are just going to be gnashing of teeth and just screaming in pain.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Like, if Jesus does come back, that's pretty good evidence to believe in him. Like, I'd flip-flop in that case. Like, if I saw Jesus in the clouds, I'd be like, all right, I was wrong.
It always reminds me of one of my favorite episodes.
Be the saddest person the beast ever ate.
It always reminds me of an old episode of Barney Miller, one of my favorites, when Barney's talking to Dietrich, who is the devout atheist. And he says, what if this all comes about and you find there's eternal life and you meet God? What do you say then? He says, whoops.
Well, and interesting, I cannot remember who was being interviewed about that. Somebody was asked, a famous atheist was asked that same question, and his response was, I'd say, what's up with childhood leukemia?
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? It's one of those things of some atheists are like, if I got up there or wherever, ended up in heaven, and God, you could ask God a question, they'd be like, what's your deal, dude? Like, why are people dying? Like, what's the plan?
Well, and on the other side of it, from the Orthodox perspective, we don't believe that God ever gives up. That even if you're atheist, once we die, God still doesn't give up on surrounding you with love. Because the idea, and this is the problem I have with some of the interpretation of Scripture, they really make a codependent God. You have this thing on Facebook, and I'll tell you, it just makes me sick every time I see it, where you see the picture of Jesus saying, I love you. Do you love me? And I think that would make a great ad for Codependence Anonymous, but not a really good ad for Jesus. It makes a God that's really insecure. So what it is it just proves one more time that what we usually do is we look at we're not in God's image, we make God in our image when we do that. With all of our insecurities, we times it by 1,000 and we call that God.
Well, the other thing too, you hear, and I just heard it recently from a friend of mine, is that this idea that God is so people, especially these evangelicals, will say, well, God is love. This is a loving thing. And hang on with me for a second, because they say that God is love, but nothing about the end time sounds loving.
Right.
Nothing about, okay, so what you're telling me is that God is so loving that he's going to steal all the people who believe in him. And he loves us so much that he's going to cause a terrible war. And he's going to let tons of people die. And he's going to let the world burn because he loves us so much. And the only way to convince those of us heathens that he exists is murder.
And see, that's why I say we make a God with our own prejudice.
Like, for real?
Yeah, I can't believe in a God like that.
And that's just nonsense. Like, how is that? And I don't, it's the same thing when the Christians will come up and just be ridiculously rude to you, and then be like, it's because I love you, brother.
Well, you know where it comes from is we absolutely love a society where one person wins and one person loses. That's why sports are so popular. We always want a winner, we always want a loser. And religion has figured that out, some parts of religion. And again, that's putting our personality on God. That's not the God that's talked about in the scriptures, not in Christianity. And some of the old scriptures of a lot of religions, yeah, because we made God in our image. But that's not what Jesus described.
But it also doesn't press the fear button.
Right.
See, imagine for a second that the end times have happened, and now it is up to us to make the world a better place. What incentive is that for people to give?
Well,
people, they won't be scared. It's like, hey, the world's just going to get better. Like, I don't have reason to go tithe. I don't have reason to go. If the world is going to end, that means I need to go evangelize. But if the world's just going to get better, then it doesn't motivate people to action. There's nothing fearful there.
Well, see, that's one of the problems when religion isn't pointing to something larger than itself. And again, it's a really awful interpretation. We're expecting our people to be winners and everyone else losers. That's not a God of love. It really isn't. And I like to read the mystics. I also like to read people like Thomas Merton, which one day I think would be considered a mystic, who talks about the real purpose of our spiritual journey is to turn within so that we can see with clear eyes the vision of God in everyone. That's really what we're supposed to be doing.
One of my favorite end times perspectives is called no millennialism.
Oh, yes.
It's one of my favorite. Here it is. Most skeptics and liberal Christian theologians largely interpret the context of the books of Daniel and Revelation as having no meaningful prophetic information for our future. This is my favorite part. Many regard Revelation as being composed of visions, hallucinations, or nightmares of the author, of little meaning to Christians today. Some believe that the purpose of the book of Revelation was to stiffen resolve in the early Christian movement so that members could withstand persecution by the Roman Empire. Thus, its purpose was to predict persecutions and other events that have already happened.
Well, yeah, and let me build on that just for a second. Revelation was written in Aramaic, and it was written in code. And in Aramaic, every number has a numeric, every letter has a numeric value. My dyslexia kicked in for a second. And so 666, the mark of the beast, that was the sign for Nero Caesar. And what was Nero Caesar doing? Putting Christians to death. He was the Antichrist. Again, you have to know how to interpret these things. And in today's society, we've forgot how to interpret signs.
So Pope Francis is not the Antichrist.
Heavens no.
Barack Obama was not the Antichrist.
No.
Donald Trump remains to be seen. But if you think about it, if you think about looking at life from this perspective, looking at life like, okay, the world is not going to end. Imagine the different perspective that you would take on everything. The different perspective. I mean, this is why liberal Christians are, in general, in agreement on climate change. This is why liberal Christians are some of the most environmental people that you will meet. This is why liberal Christians are thinking, why in the world would you declare Jerusalem the capital of Israel? Because they understand that we're going to be around for a while, and our kids are going to be around for a while, and the more damage we cause now, the harder it's going to be for that to recover.
Well,
that should be scary.
We take that from the very line that we have a living God, not a God of death. And if you look at the universe, which is to us the expression of God, what is it doing? It's expanding, it's growing, it's moving forward, not backwards. And it's taking us with us. And so the idea is that we have to grow in our spirituality, get to different levels. And they're at the very basic level. They're at what Ken Wilber would call the red level, red and blue level. And we'd have to take a whole nother show to talk about Ken Wilber's different levels of spirituality. But the idea is we transcend and we include. And so while we go from that, and where we might have believed some of that one time, we transcend it, but we remember what we learned there, and we grow and have an even healthier experience with God.
Well, and these theological perspectives are not inclusive. I mean, if these are the furthest thing from inclusive, because you have to. It's basically like, it cracks me up, because these people who are all about Israel being put to war so we can get raptured are the same people typically who are thinking Sharia law is the worst thing ever. We should not have a government based on religion. And then in the very next breath, they're going to say America is a Christian nation and we are a Christian. We were founded on God's principles and we should. I don't know. We should put the Ten Commandments everywhere.
I love when we rewrite history, because that is not how we're founded, not why we're founded. We're founded for religious freedom and unfair taxation.
But Senator Moore, future Senator Moore, I mean, I hate to say that, but in reality, it's going to happen. I mean, we talked about this last week. The most ridiculous thing ever is how a lot of these conservative folks tend to just not care at all about how their people act. All they care about is what they believe and what they say, but then they want everybody else to just peace out that does something that's, wrong or sexually harassing or something like this. Oh.
Well, I sent you that thing on Facebook the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Someone sent me. It was an actual church sign. It was not Photoshopped. A church down that area in Alabama that says they were wrong about Jesus. They're wrong about Roy Moore.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't even understand it.
So much for separation of church and state.
I don't get it. Yeah, because it's about what you believe. It's not about actions, and that's kind of the crux of the matter. And that's, I think, where a lot of the frustration comes in. And that's why you just kind of have to roll your eyes at the hypocrisy, because it's not going to go away. Because evangelical Christianity, in many cases, is all about what you believe, not about what you do.
Well, speaking about believe, I believe we're at the end of our hour.
We're getting close,
and we're very close. And you know what? Folks, we know this is a very serious thing that we're talking about. We don't take it lightly. This is a very difficult time, not end times, very difficult times where brothers and sisters, we got to come together. I don't care what your belief system is. I don't care if you're an atheist or a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim. Let's come together and be an expression. And for heaven's sake, use the words of Victor Hugo from Les Miserables when he said, to love another person is to see the face of God.
Well, yeah, because if you don't believe that we're going to be raptured, then that means that we have one planet and we need to take care of it and stick together, because we all sink or swim together.
Mother Earth.
I mean, that's all there is to it. So, hey, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday to talk about something just as exciting as what we talked about this week.
Have a great first week of Advent.
Kcaa.
Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash wants to remind pet owners of the importance of spaying and neutering. Shelters overflow with unwanted pets. Spaying and neutering helps to prevent this and has many health benefits too. That message courtesy of Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash at 1152 East 6th Street in Beaumont. For all breed dog and cat grooming with years of experience, call 951-769-8300 for Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash. They're wishing everyone happy holidays.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley. Listen on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM.
Good evening to everybody out there, coming to you from deep in the heart of the Wild West and pumping out loud and crystal clear from sea to shining sea and all the way from pole to freezing pole and everywhere there is in between. It is my honor and great pleasure to welcome you to Midnight in the Desert, and I am your host tonight, Heather Wade, and well, we've got interesting show planned for everybody tonight, but there's also a little bit of a problem that I think I should explain. So tonight we had planned to have John Vivanco come on the program and do another remote viewing challenge. You know, it was so much fun the last time we did that. We got some prizes worked out for everybody and a really interesting show planned out, except, well, John Vivanco lives in Southern California, and there's a brand new fire today in Southern California. The Lilac Fire just started today, and it is raging. This fire really is something else. I mean, it is growing. As I was watching the news, I was watching this fire grow by about 500 acres at a time, just every few minutes, every news report that came out. Well, there was another 500 acres that fire had burned, and the last time I checked, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 to 3,000 acres burned. So around 6 p.m. this evening, I decided to call up John Vivanco just to make sure, because I know he's in that area. And I asked him, well, it turns out, yes, in fact, John Vivanco is in the evacuation warning zone right now. So what that means is that at any time, he can be ordered to a mandatory evacuation at just any time. Well, I don't want to get too personal here or give out too much information, but John Vivanco's parents live about 2 miles from him in the same area there, and well, his parents, right before the program tonight, they were also in the evacuation warning zone. Well, they were ordered to evacuate. And John went out and he evacuated his parents. And he also was evacuating, I think, taking care of some neighbors' dogs, if I got that right. And so, well, John tells me that he is going to be on the program tonight, that he will join us after the bottom of the hour break. But both of us actually feel, me, John Vivanco, and producer Michelle, we all feel that we should, well, put that warning out there. You know, we're going to try to do this program tonight, but at any moment at all, John can be ordered to evacuate because of the fire. And I just wonder, have any of you seen some of the videos that are coming out that show the devastation and just how bad the Lilac Fire is? I mean,